My beloved child, listen to me in the most hidden chamber of your soul. For what I am about to place inside your spirit today is not merely a teaching about people, nor only a method to recognize who is sincere and who is wearing a mask of sweetness over hollow intentions. I am drawing you into a holier kind of maturity, a sacred awareness that knows how to recognize my voice among the tangled noises of this generation. There are sounds that feel like a soft cradle to your ears, yet they carry no breath of life. There are promises that move your emotions powerfully, yet they do not bring you one step nearer to the light. There are presences that wrap themselves around you like comfort, yet they quietly drag you away from the river of peace. That is why I refuse to let you live by the trembling of a single moment. I want you to know the difference between something that merely stirs your heart and something that truly comes from my throne. For it is written, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Isaiah 30, verse 21. I have not stopped speaking to you. I do not roar in noise to be heard. I whisper in a voice strong enough to keep your feet from slipping into the wrong path, gentle enough to be missed only by those who refuse to be still. My beloved child, I know how tender your heart truly is. I have watched you open the doors of your soul again and again, hoping that someone would honor the sincerity you carried. I do not rebuke you for loving deeply. I do not scold you for trusting purely. A heart that knows how to love is not a weakness. It is a garden I planted in you with my own hands, a field where seeds of kindness, mercy, and hope are meant to grow. But beloved, every precious garden requires a holy fence, not so that you become cold, suspicious, or closed to humanity, but so that the beauty inside you is not crushed under feet that have never learned how to walk softly on sacred ground. That is why my word still stands alive over your life. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4, verse 23. I'm not telling you to slam the door of your heart shut. I am teaching you who may enter, who must remain outside, and whose request for entry must first be laid before my presence, before you grant your trust completely. There will be moments when it cuts deeply to realize that something was never what you once thought it to be. Someone you treated as a safe refuge, and yet I allow the light to expose them, and you finally begin to see the emptiness echoing behind their gentle words. A connection you once treasured like a rare jewel, and yet when I place my hand upon it, the truth begins to surface. It was not feeding your soul, it was draining it, slowly, quietly, drop by drop. Do not call that revelation a loss, for very often what I removed from your hands is the very thing that was silently chaining your future. Do not call the shattering of an illusion a defeat, because when the veil falls away, your eyes are finally free to see with sight that has been anointed by heaven. For as the Lord has spoken, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8, verse 32. Truth may sting at first. It may feel like fire pressed against an old wound, but truth never comes to destroy you. Truth comes to rescue you from what disguised itself as love, but never carried the nature of love. My beloved child, pause here for a moment. I want you to hear something that heaven has prepared specifically for this hour of your life. Across the Americas, across Europe, across every land where men and women have grown weary of empty religion, a sacred prayer movement has been quietly awakening, and it is called Elovens. It is not a program. It is not entertainment. It is an ancient prayer covenant a daily anointing, a 1-hour audio sanctuary that has been delivered through the hands of trusted spiritual founders to a small chosen circle of believers who are tired of praying alone and watching their prayers seem to fall to the floor. Right now, right at this very moment, as your eyes are reading these words, thousands of men and women have already become Elovians. They wake up every morning at 5:30, 6:30, and they take their one daily dose like spiritual medicine, and heaven is responding to them in ways that shock their own families. And listen to this, my beloved child. Margaret from Houston wrote into our community just last week. She said, I joined Elevens 3 months ago. By day 11 of my first season, a check arrived for a debt I had given up on 2 years earlier. I am not exaggerating. My daughter called me crying because she could not believe what God did through these prayers. This is real. That is one woman, beloved. One, and there are thousands more like her. The link to claim your seat is in the description below this video. It is also pinned at the top of the comment section. Click it now before this message ends, because seats are filling as I speak. Season 3 has just been released. Episode 5 is live on elevens.com today. People across 3 continents are already listening to it. As your eyes pass over these words, they are already being covered, already being shielded, already receiving what heaven set aside for this particular day in the calendar of God. And you are still on the outside of that covering. The question is not whether the prayers are real. The question is how much longer you intend to stay uncovered while everyone around you steps into the protection. Only 288 seats remain this month, only 288, because Elevens accepts only 333 new members each month. And 333 is not a random number, beloved. It is an angelic number. The number of divine alignment, the number of heaven's direct communication channel. You are thinking, I cannot afford it. Stop. The normal price for this membership is $100 a month. But because you are watching this channel, God's Love, Unlimited, heaven has opened a door that the general public does not have access to. $19.99. $19.99 for 30 days of sacred, ancestral, anointed audio prayer. That is less than what you spent at the pharmacy last week. Less than 2 greeting cards. Less than the streaming service you forget you are even paying for. But this door does not stay open forever. The moment the 1,000th member joins worldwide, the price returns to $100 permanently. No extension, no second favor. The link is in the description below. It is pinned in the comments. Your finger is already close to it. Don't fight the pull. Click it now, and let me do the rest. Remember Samuel when he was still only a small boy in the temple? One holy night, a voice called his name across the silent chamber. But at first he did not recognize it as my voice. He kept running to Eli, thinking the call had come from a human voice. It took several attempts before he finally learned to answer. Speak, for your servant is listening. 1 Samuel 3, verse 10. Do you see, beloved, even a child set apart from the womb still had to be trained to distinguish the voice of heaven from the voice of man. I do not condemn you for the times you got it wrong. I am patiently apprenticing you. There are seasons when I deliberately allow you to hear many different voices around you, not to confuse you, but to mature your discernment. The closer you remain to my presence, the clearer my voice becomes within you. And the more familiar you become with my presence, the less power counterfeit voices have to deceive your soul, no matter how sweet they may sound on the surface. So do not fear the process I am leading you through, my beloved child. I do not place you in the middle of trials so I can watch you fall. I place you inside holy lessons so I can lift you out of the immaturity that once governed your decisions. You are no longer the same child who had to chase every flicker of feeling that rose in your chest. You no longer have to believe every emotion that ignites within you as though it carried the authority of divine truth. Emotions may reveal what is moving inside of you, but only I can show you the path you must actually walk. There are moments when your heart desperately wants to hold on, and I will say to you, let go. There are moments when fear tells you to seal the door of your soul shut, and I will say, step forward. There are nights when loneliness whispers that an impure connection is better than empty arms, and yet the Holy Spirit will whisper louder, saying you are worthy of being preserved for something better than that. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. That sound mind, beloved, is the grace that allows you to love without becoming blind, to trust without abandoning discernment, to open your heart while still standing firmly in the light. I want this truth to settle deep into your bones. Clarity does not shrink the love inside of you. Clarity purifies that love. When you allow me to be the guardian of your heart, you do not become hardened in the way of the world. You become steady in gentleness, tender without being easily swept off your feet, kind without abandoning your own dignity. True love does not require you to be blind in order to prove your loyalty. True love does not demand silence from you in the face of what disturbs your spirit. True love will always carry my peace as its witness, uprightness as its foundation, and enough light that you do not have to live inside confusion. For it is written, the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy. James 3 verse 17. Anything that truly comes from me does not merely entertain your feelings. It also makes you cleaner, more peaceful, and more anchored in my presence. So when I open your eyes to see clearly, whether about a person, a situation, or a bond, receive it as mercy, not as punishment. I love you too deeply to allow appearances to drag you away. I guard you too carefully to let you keep handing your soul over to hands that do not know how to preserve it. I do not want you to live in suspicion, but neither will I let you live in defenseless innocence. There is a sacred balance I am building inside you, a heart that remains open to what is good, yet shut against what is deception in disguise, mercy always ready to forgive, yet wisdom strong enough to draw a holy line, faith still pure, yet no longer enchanted by what is hollow. Stay close to me, my beloved child. Bring every emotion, every relationship, every decision, and every inner stirring into my presence. Do not rush to give an answer just because your heart is moved. Do not rush to walk through a door just because it has been opened. Not every open door has been opened by my hand, and not every delay is a refusal from heaven. There are times when I hold you back because something is still hidden ahead that you are not yet ready to see. There are times I slow your steps so that you will not enter a place that would wound you for years. There are times I let something be exposed, not to make you bitter, but to protect you before the cost becomes too great, the Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Psalm 121, verse 7. I do not only keep your physical body from danger, beloved, I also guard your heart from invisible chains. Now, walk forward in peace, not the peace of someone who has figured everything out, but the peace of someone who knows they are being led. I am with you in every fresh realization, every act of letting go, every moment you choose to listen to my voice instead of the voice of fear, instead of the voice of passing desire. You will not be blinded by darkness as you once were, because the light I am placing within you will only grow brighter and clearer. You will not be bound by falsehood any longer, because my truth is raising you to stand. You will love more deeply, yet also more wisely. You will trust more beautifully, yet also more firmly. You will open your heart to what I bring, but you will no longer trade your peace just to hold on to something I never chose. Remember this, beloved, I never take away what truly belongs to you. I only separate you from what was blocking you from receiving the better portion. And as you walk with me, my voice will become a lamp for your feet, a light for your path, and a tender refuge for the heart that has finally learned how to love in holy wisdom. Before I continue, my beloved child, I have something heaven wants you to do, something that will unlock what comes next in this message. Share this video with at least 3 people today, not later, not when you remember, today. 3 people who need this exact word in this exact season of their life. Send it to your sister, your brother, your prayer partner, your child, your old friend who has been silent too long. Send it through WhatsApp. Post it in your Facebook groups. Drop it in every group chat where people are quietly hurting. 3 is not a random number, beloved. 3 is the number of the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. When you share this message with 3 souls, you activate a triangular covenant of protection that begins to cover you, your household, and every person who receives it. Those who spread this word receive instant divine acceleration. Those who keep it locked inside their phone are quietly blocking the very flow of blessing that heaven was trying to release through them. Do not block what God is trying to multiply. Share it now with 3 people before you watch another minute. My beloved child, there are seasons when I am not only teaching you how to walk, but also how to hear rightly. For not every voice that touches the surface of your heart actually comes from me. And not everything that moves your emotions is a signal from heaven that you must pursue it. There are sounds that arrive very quickly, lighting up your feelings with great intensity, making you think you have finally encountered life itself. But if you listen at a deeper level, you will recognize that they do not bring stability. They do not deposit peace inside you, and they do not make your soul more pure. My voice is different, beloved. My voice does not always come loudly. My voice does not always overwhelm you in the very first second, but my voice lays a foundation inside of you. My voice does not only stir your feelings. My voice causes you to remain standing long after the emotions have settled. For I have spoken. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10, verse 27. So what I am cultivating in you is not a rushed reaction to every magnetic pull. It is a life that knows how to pause, how to discern, how to recognize the difference between the voice of the shepherd and the empty echo bouncing through the wilderness. My child, I know you carry a sensitive heart. a soul that responds to gentleness, a spirit that does not want to miss what appears beautiful. But precisely because your heart is so precious, I refuse to allow it to be pulled by every hand that reaches out towards it. I do not want you to grow cold, suspicious, or shut. I want you to grow discerning. Discernment does not kill love, beloved. Discernment purifies love from blindness. Wisdom does not erase your kindness. Wisdom prevents your kindness from being deposited into accounts that only know how to withdraw and never how to honor. For it is written, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life." Proverbs 4, verse 23. I do not ask you to guard your heart because your heart is evil. I ask you to guard your heart because your heart is the source from which your life flows. What is precious must be kept in the light, not abandoned to every passing wind. There are connections that enter your life like the first rains after a long drought, making you believe that the dry soil inside of you has finally been watered. But over time, you begin to notice something else. That presence is not drawing you closer to me. It is not making you more peaceful. It is not making you freer. It causes you to wait in anxiety, to hope from a place of exhaustion, to give while never quite knowing where you stand, to wonder why something that once brought joy has begun to feel like a stone upon your chest. When that moment arrives, do not rush to blame yourself for having loved wrongly. Let me teach you how to see rightly. Not everything that once moved you was appointed by heaven to remain. Not everyone who once stepped into your life was sent to walk with you for the long journey. There are people who only pass through to reveal a lesson. There are bonds permitted only for a short season, and there are doors I close, not because I am taking something from you, but because I am saving you from what you cannot yet see. Remember Abraham and Lot, beloved. For a season they walked the same path together. They left the familiar together. They stepped into the promise together. But there came a time when the land could no longer support both of their camps. Friction rose between their herdsmen, and Abraham had to release Lot to choose his own direction. On the outside, it appeared like a sorrowful separation. But inside my hidden plan, it was a holy reordering, so that Abraham could hear with clarity the next word I had set aside for him alone. After Lot had separated from him, I spoke to Abraham, saying, "Lift up your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward." Genesis 13, verse 14. Do you see, my child? There are promises that are only revealed after an attachment can no longer continue. There are visions that only open when you finally release what no longer fits the journey I am calling you into. A departure is not always a loss. Sometimes it is the holy space where I display before your eyes a wider horizon than you ever imagined. So do not grieve too long when you realize that a connection cannot continue. Cry if your soul needs to cry, but do not call my protection abandonment. Mourn if your heart is still tender, but do not let mourning convince you to return to the place I delivered you from. I know there was a time when you thought that if you just tried a little harder, waited a little longer, sacrificed a little deeper, everything would finally come together. But beloved, true love does not require you to lose your peace in order to prove your loyalty. What comes from my throne does not force you to keep making yourself smaller, to keep questioning your own worth, or to keep silent before things that unsettle your spirit. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. Philippians 4, verse 7. And that peace becomes a deep witness inside of you. When I am truly in something, you may pass through trials, but your soul is not torn from my side. You may need patience, but you are not drained until you forget who you are in me. I am training you in a very holy distinction, beloved child. Emotions may move you, but they must never rule you. Attraction may catch your attention, but it must never lead the way in my place. Compassion may pull you to stay, but it must never turn you into someone carrying burdens I never assigned to your shoulders. You are not called to chase after every door that stands slightly ajar, every tender glance, every word that softens the layers of your heart. You are called to follow what I confirm. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. My confirmation does not always show up through a thunderous sign in the sky. Sometimes it comes through a deep, settled peace, through a quiet clarity in your inner chambers, through a stillness that does not need to be forced, through the gentle awareness that you do not have to strain yourself to hold on to what is genuinely yours. Beloved child, what I am preparing for you will never make you negotiate with your own dignity. What I give you will never demand that you lay your peace upon the altar of the fear of losing someone. What truly belongs to your season will not pull you away from my presence. It will not turn your prayers into a foreign language. It will not lead you to walk in darkness while you call it love. True love brings you back to me. It awakens in you a deeper longing to live uprightly, more tenderly, more honestly, more purely. It does not need to leave the light in order to protect an exhausting secret. For God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. 1 John 1, verse 5. So anything that genuinely belongs to me does not need darkness in order to survive. From this moment forward, when your heart is stirred, bring that stirring into my presence first. When you miss someone, pass that longing through my light. When you want to preserve a connection, ask me where it is leading you. Do not fear my answer, because I never lead you out of something good only to throw you into empty space. If I tell you to let go, it is because your hands need to be free to receive something purer. If I cause a relationship to weaken, it is because I am loosening a cord that would have bound your steps later on. If I allow a truth to be exposed, it is because I love you too much to let you remain inside an illusion decorated with sweet words. And when you learn to discern between the voice of emotion and the voice of the Father, you will no longer be pulled away as you once were. You will still love, but you will love in the light. You will still hope, but you will hope with watchfulness. You will still open your heart, but you will not deposit your soul into places I have not anointed. Your steps will become slower but surer, softer but stronger, quieter but filled with greater authority. I will place inside you a deep steadfastness, not because you know everything that is about to happen, but because you know Boicho is leading you. Go in peace, my beloved child. Your shepherd does not lose his way. And when you recognize my voice, no counterfeit call will ever again have enough authority to drag you far from the pasture I have prepared for your soul. My beloved child, I have heard the questions you bury in the darkness, the sighs you never put into words, the nights you looked toward heaven through tears, and wondered why your heart must keep passing through encounters that lift it up only to break it open again. I know there have been nights when you whispered, "Father, why do I give my heart sincerely and receive disappointment in return? Why does someone walk into my life like a promise and walk out like a wound?" Today, I do not come to you with rebuke. I do not lay another burden of self-blame on your shoulders. I come carrying light. I want you to understand that what you have endured is not evidence that you lack worth. It is not proof that you do not know how to love. It is a deeper classroom of the soul, where I am training you not only to observe outward behavior, but to recognize the inner current of every connection. Because if you only look at smiles, words, shared emotions, or a few tender moments, you will keep stepping back into old cycles. But when I open your eyes to see the roots, you will no longer be bound by what once deceived you. For it is written, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8, verse 32. Truth does not come to make you bitter. Truth comes to loosen the chains from the places where your heart was tied without you even realizing it. My child, there are people who approach you without carrying the appearance of danger. They do not arrive with the noise of destruction. They do not look like enemies. They do not speak words that immediately raise your guard. On the contrary, they may come with gentleness, with a kind of empathy that feels uncommonly deep, with words that sound like they understand you better than anyone ever has. But beloved, not every form of understanding originates from holy love. There is a kind of understanding that is engineered only to unlock the door of your most vulnerable places, and from there to slowly redirect your focus, disrupt the rhythm of your prayer life, and cause you to become more occupied with a human being than with listening to my voice. I do not say this to make you fear people. I say it so that you remain awake in the light. For there are presences that do not knock you off course in a single day. They pull you sideways slowly, little by little. Today you pray a little less. Tomorrow you lose a little more peace. Next week you begin to doubt my voice, doubt your worth, doubt the path I have been leading you on. The most dangerous deviations do not begin with a thunderous fall, beloved. They begin with very small compromises that you talked yourself into believing were harmless. So I am calling you back to the center. And the center is not a person, not an emotion, not a promise, not a connection that makes you feel needed. The center is me. When I am the center, you can love without losing yourself. You can listen without being controlled. You can show compassion without depositing your soul into another person's hands. When I am the center, you become able to tell the difference between genuine support and dependency that has dressed itself up in the clothing of care. Guidance that flows from my throne will not make you blurry inside your own life. It will make you clearer. It will not cause you to constantly revolve around another person's feelings. It will bring you back to the deep peace where I dwell. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. You are not called to decode every motive on your own. You are called to bring everything before me, so my light can test what your natural eyes cannot yet see. And let me pause here, my beloved child, because heaven needs you to hear something that may be the very reason your eyes landed on this message today. There is a question rising in the spirit realm, a question every soul on earth will eventually answer one way or another. The question is this: Will you continue praying alone with no covering, no community, no ancient pattern lifting your voice? Or will you finally step inside the secret chamber that has been prepared for you? Beloved, thousands of men and women are already inside the chamber called Elovans. They are not visitors, they are not curious browsers. They are Elovians, a new generation of spiritually armed believers who refuse to step into another day uncovered. They have laid down the loneliness of praying into the empty air. They have laid down the frustration of asking God for help and never feeling the door of heaven swing open. They have entered an ancient, anointed, deeply guarded prayer covenant, and their lives have been rearranged by the hand of God. Robert from Chicago shared this with the Elovans community just days ago. He said, "I am a retired veteran. I never believed prayer could change my financial situation. My wife convinced me to try Elovans. By day 9, I received a call about a pension adjustment I was owed for years. Thousands of dollars came through. I broke down crying in my own kitchen. God used Elovans to find me." That is a man, beloved, a retired veteran, not someone seeking entertainment. A man who needed God to move, and Elovans became the channel through which heaven moved on his behalf. The link to join is in the description below this video, right beneath the title. It is also pinned at the very top of the comments section. Click it the moment your eyes leave these words. You are thinking, "I will do it later." Stop. Listen to me carefully. Later is the enemy's favorite word. Later means never. Later is the place where blessings go to die unclaimed. The link is in the description right now. It is pinned in the comments right now. Your hands are already near the screen. Your finger is already close to that link. Don't fight it. Click it. Season 3 of Elovans has just been released. Episode 5 is live on elovans.com today. That means somewhere across the Americas, in a small town in Texas, in a kitchen in Florida, in a quiet apartment in New York, in a home in Manchester, in a village in Ontario. A man or a woman is already pressing play on episode 5 right now. They are already receiving today's anointing. They are already being covered for the next 24 hours of their life, and you are still on the outside of that covering. How much longer, beloved? How many more episodes will pass while you remain on the wrong side of the door? Only 288 seats remain this month. The cap is 333, an angelic number, and the counter is moving as you watch this. 333 is not a number I chose by accident, beloved. It is the number of divine alignment, the number of heaven's confirmation channel. And the door is closing. The link is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. Move before the counter hits 0. And remember Joshua and the Gibeonites, beloved. When the Gibeonites came to Israel, they did not arrive carrying swords or spears. They came with old clothing, dry, crusty bread, and torn wine skins, pretending to be travelers from a distant land. They used a tired appearance to manufacture trust. They told a story that sounded reasonable enough to soften the hearts of the people, and the scripture records what happened next. The men of Israel took some of their provisions, but they did not ask counsel of the Lord. Joshua 9, verse 14. Do you see, my child? Not every deception arrives in a frightening costume. There are counterfeit things that come dressed up as needing mercy, asking for trust, requesting an open door. The lesson is not that you must suspect every stranger. The lesson is that you must never neglect to ask me. Mercy without discernment can become a doorway into bondage. Compassion that is not placed beneath my light can cause you to enter into a covenant I never confirmed. I know this touches a tender place inside you because you do not want to become hard. You fear that if you discern too much, you will lose the purity of love. But hear me say this clearly, beloved. Discernment does not make you less loving. Discernment makes your love holy and clean. You can still be kind without being naive. You can still be gentle without being easily misled. You can still open your heart without handing the keys of your soul to anyone who has simply learned to say the right words at the right time. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God. 1 John 4, verse 1. I am not asking you to judge through suspicion. I am training you to test through the light. What truly comes from me can withstand the light. What is true is not afraid of time, not afraid of prayer, not afraid of being examined by peace. My beloved child, the enemy rarely uses raw, obvious hatred to attack a heart that knows how to love. He is far more cunning than that. He uses false resonance, the feeling that this person is just like me. This person finally understands me. This person has touched the exact place of my deepest wound. He may set before you someone who speaks fluently in the language of your pain, yet carries no medicine from my hand. He may manufacture a sense of familiarity very quickly, but that familiarity has no roots in truth. And from that fabricated familiarity, small seeds are planted. A little doubt about my voice, a little uneasiness about your journey, a little comparison, a little dependence, a little need to be affirmed by another human being. When those seeds grow, you begin to drift away from the steadiness I built inside of you. You no longer ask, "Oh, Father, what do you want?" You begin to ask, "Well, what does that person think of me? Will they stay? What do I need to do to keep them from leaving?" When a connection causes you to fear losing that person more than you fear losing your peace in me, you must stop. You must turn around. You must return to the Father. Do not interpret every departure as a verdict on your worth. There are moments I allow someone to walk out of your life because if they had remained any longer, they would have blurred the calling I placed inside of you. There are moments I let a door close because behind it was not a home, but a room that would have caused your soul to forget the light. There are moments I let the truth surface in a painful instant because I do not want you to spend years recovering from a bondage you could have escaped today. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. Psalm 121, verse 7. I do not only keep you by giving you more, I also keep you by holding certain things back. I do not only protect you by what I bring into your life, but also by what I do not allow to remain. From this day forward, when any hand reaches toward you, look beyond the gesture itself. Ask, does this presence draw me nearer to my Father or farther from Him? Does it make me more peaceful or more anxious? Does it awaken goodness in me or pull me back into old cycles? Does it honor the light God placed in me, or does it want me to step into a dim place in order to keep it close? You do not need to answer every call in a hurry. You do not need to open every door simply because someone knocked at the exact moment when you were feeling lonely. You do not need to call urgency destiny. You do not need to call being emotionally stirred a confirmation. My voice does not pressure you into losing your peace just to grasp something quickly. My voice leads you with clarity, with order, with holiness, and with a peace that does not need another person's permission in order to exist. Let me teach you to love in freedom. True love does not turn you into a prisoner of attention. True love does not force you to keep proving that you are worthy of being kept. True love does not place you in a state of constant exhaustion where you are hoping and fearing all at once, giving and losing yourself in the same breath. What comes from me will not compete with me for the throne of your heart. It will not sit on the seat where only I am meant to dwell. It will not demand that you sacrifice your calling, your peace, your dignity, and your purity in exchange for a few moments of feeling needed. What I give you may require patience, but it will not feed you with chaos. What I give you may stretch you into maturity, but it will not break your soul in silence. So come closer to me again, my beloved child. Lay your connections beneath my light before you lay them inside your heart. Let me touch the places within you that were once easily swept away by counterfeit empathy, so that from this day forward, you will no longer confuse someone who simply understands your wound with someone I have sent to honor your soul. I am freeing you from invisible cords, from the need to keep everyone from leaving, from the fear that every departure is proof you were not enough. You are precious enough to be protected. You are loved enough for me to intervene. You belong to me deeply enough that you no longer have to beg for affirmation from anything that pulls you away from my presence. Stand firm, for truth is opening your eyes. Be at peace, for the Father is guarding your heart. Keep walking, for what truly belongs to me will never need darkness, dependence, or fear in order to remain in your life. My beloved child, I have heard the silent questions you have never dared to speak out loud. I have watched you lie awake at night while your heart felt as though it were being torn into pieces. I have seen old memories return like uninvited guests, knocking at the door of your soul after midnight. I have watched you wonder why you could be sincere and still be wounded, why certain people seem to come close carrying light, only to leave behind a cold emptiness inside of you. I know you have whispered through tears, Father, did I love wrongly? Did I trust too quickly? Is my heart too weak? Is that why it keeps getting hurt? But today I am not coming to condemn you. I am not laying another burden upon your already weary soul. I am coming to place light into the very corner you once called confusion. I want you to know that what you have walked through is not evidence that you are lesser. It is a sign that I am leading you into a deeper level of discernment. You no longer only need to see who stays and who leaves. You need to recognize what is operating behind each connection. Because if you only watch outward behavior, you can easily be pulled back into the very cycles I rescued you from. But when you let me open your eyes to see the roots, you begin to step into freedom. For it is written, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8, verse 32. That truth does not come to bitter you, beloved. It comes to loosen from your ankles the invisible cords that have been quietly slowing you down for far too long. My child, not every hand extended toward you is a hand I have sent. Not every gentle word carries life. Not every form of empathy is rooted in pure love. There are people who do not arrive in your life with the costume of danger, who do not break you through obvious actions, who do not let you realize from the beginning that they are slowly steering you off course. They arrive with closeness, with a kind of understanding that feels rare, with words that touch the most tender places inside of you, making you think that at last someone finally understands. But beloved, understanding that has not been placed under my light can become a key that unlocks the most vulnerable doors of your spirit. There are presences that do not destroy you in one day. They quietly take away your focus, little by little. They cause you to become more preoccupied with how someone responds to you, with someone's silence, with the effort of keeping someone from leaving, than with the sound of my voice inside your heart. And when my voice gets pushed into the background by the noise of a bond, you begin to lose the peace I deposited inside of you. So I am calling you back to the center again. Not back to fear, not back to closing yourself off, but back to me. The center of your life cannot be a person who stirs your heart, nor a connection that makes you feel needed. The center of your life must be my presence, where you remain steady whether others come or go, where you hear the Father's voice more clearly than the voice of loneliness, the voice of memory, or the voice of the ache to be loved. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46, verse 10. That stillness is not emptiness, beloved. It is the place where your soul is brought back into rhythm. When you stay close to me, you will be able to tell the difference between someone who lifts you closer to the light and someone who only wants you to revolve around them. When you abide in me, you will know what kind of connection takes you deeper into peace and what kind of bond slowly drains the life out of you. Remember Delilah and Samson, beloved, not so that you will fear love, but so that you will understand the cost of lacking discernment. Samson was strong before the lion, strong before his enemies, yet he became weak before an intimacy that was not illuminated by God. Delilah did not need swords or spears to bring him down. She used closeness, pleading, emotion to draw the secret of his strength out of the place where it had been entrusted. And the moment Samson placed what was holy into the hands of someone who did not fear what was holy, his hair was cut, his eyes were gouged out, and his strength departed from him before he even realized it was gone. Do you see, my child? Not every battle is fought on an open field. There are battles that begin inside conversations that sounded harmless, inside familiarities I never confirmed, inside moments when you revealed too much of your soul to someone who had not yet been authorized to guard it. So hear me speak with love. Do not place what is holy inside of you into hands that have not been tested in the light. I do not say this to make you suspicious of every person walking past your life. I do not want you to live in a dry posture of defense. I am not calling you to become a closed-off, cold soul who no longer trusts anyone. No, beloved, I am training you to love with wisdom. There is a love that is both tender and bordered, both kind and watchful, both generous and willing to ask me before opening a door. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits whether they are of God. 1 John 4, verse 1. This is not an invitation to suspicion, it is an invitation to discernment. What truly comes from me will not fear being tested. What is true will not grow angry when you need time. What is pure will not demand you step into a dim place, hide your prayers, or trade away your peace just to keep it. You must understand this on a deeper level than ever before, my beloved child. The enemy does not usually approach a loving heart through obvious hatred. He knows the door will not open easily to anything harsh or brutal, so he dresses deception in the garment of empathy. He brings into your life people who appear similar to you in pain, similar in thought patterns, similar in the unhealed places inside of them, so that a sense of familiarity is built quickly. And within that familiarity, he plants small seeds. A little doubt about my calling, a little hesitation about your worth, a little comparison with others, a little dependence on outward affirmation. At first, every seed looks small, but if you do not bring it before me, those seeds grow into vines that wrap themselves around your freedom. You stop walking because I am leading you. You start walking because you fear losing a person. You stop seeking me first. You begin waiting to see how that person responds first. You stop standing in peace. You begin being pulled up and down by another person's attention. So when someone steps close to you in this season, do not only ask, do they make me happy? Ask the deeper question, does this presence bring me closer to my Father or push me farther from Him? After I speak with them, is my heart lighter or heavier? Am I being encouraged to become purer, freer, more steadfast? Or am I becoming more confused, more dependent, more anxious? Beloved, the answer of the soul is often not loud, but it is always real. The peace I give you is not a passing feeling. It is a guard standing at the gate of your heart. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. Philippians 4, verse 7. When peace withdraws, do not be quick to ignore it. When your heart keeps being stirred without being led into clarity, stop and bring that matter before me. And let me speak once more about the secret chamber I have prepared for those who are tired of trying to discern alone. Elevens, beloved, do you understand why this prayer covenant is so rare? It is not because heaven is stingy. It is because what is sacred must always be protected. 333 seats per month, not 334, not 350, 333. The angelic number, the number heaven itself chose. And only 288 remain in this current month. Across the world, men and women are sliding into seats as I speak. Someone in Manchester just claimed one. Someone in Sao Paulo just claimed one. Someone in a small town in Tennessee just clicked the link in the description and joined. Gloria from Miami wrote into the Elevens family last month, beloved, she said, I was diagnosed with something that terrified me. My doctor gave me news I was not ready to hear. I started my Elevens episodes the very next morning. By day 20, my follow-up results came back, and my doctor told me she had never seen anything like it before. She used the word miraculous. I know what happened. God heard those prayers. That is a real Elovian woman, beloved, a real result, a real testimony of what happens when you stop praying alone and start praying inside an ancient covenant. The link is in the description below this video. It is pinned in the comment section. Open the link before you continue scrolling. You are thinking, is this real? Look at the thousands of Elovians who are already covered, already protected, already receiving. The link is below. You are thinking, I need to ask someone first. No, this is between you and God. He brought you to this exact message at this exact moment for a reason. He is watching to see whether you will obey or scroll away. The link is in the description. He has made it easy. He has made it affordable. $19.99 per month, down from $100. 80% off, exclusively because you are watching this channel, God's Love Unlimited. The general public does not have access to this door. The general public pays $100. You pay $19.99, but only until 1,000 total members worldwide have claimed this rate. After that, the door shuts. The price returns to $100 forever. No second favors. Think about your children right now, your grandchildren, the people whose names you whisper before you fall asleep. What happens to them if your prayers are not reaching heaven fast enough? What happens to your household if you remain on the outside of the covering while everyone around you steps inside? Click the link. It is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. The relief is one click away. Season 3, Episode 5 is live on 11s.com right now. You are missing it as you read these words. 24 more episodes are coming this month. 25 more days of prayer that are designed to be absorbed one day at a time, like medicine for the soul. Skip a dose and the prayer rhythm breaks. Begin late, and you have already lost the early covering days. Open the link now, before Season 3, Episode 6 drops tomorrow morning, before another seat is claimed, before the counter slides from 288 to 287. Do not grieve too long when I show you that a connection cannot continue, my beloved child. I know a departure can sometimes make you sorrowful, especially when you had hoped, prayed, and believed that something was the answer you had been waiting for. But there are doors I close not because I want you to be lonely, but because behind those doors are cords that would have wrapped around your feet in the future. There are people I do not allow to remain, not because you are unworthy of being loved, but because they were not equipped to preserve what I am building inside of you. There are separations that feel like wounds in the moment, yet become deliverance for the entire journey. From this day forward, I want you to stop calling every departure a failure. Some departures are answers, some empty spaces are mercy. Some moments when you are not chosen by people are the very moments when I am choosing you again for my purpose. You do not need to hold on to anyone by losing your peace, by losing your calling, by losing the purity of your heart. What truly comes from me will never require you to move away from me in order to keep it. True love does not compete with me for the throne of your heart. It honors my place. It brings you back to me. It causes you to pray more deeply, live more uprightly, and love more fully in the light. If a connection forces you to hide me in the background, it cannot be what I desire to place in the foreground of your life. Walk in peace, my beloved child. I am not taking love away from you. I am purifying love within you. I am not separating you from people. I am freeing you from bonds disguised as familiarity. I do not want you to live in fear, but in holy watchfulness. From this day forward, let every hand that reaches toward you pass through my light before it touches your heart. Let every sweet word be tested by my peace before you call it destiny. Let every form of empathy be placed at my feet before you call it connection. For you are my child, not an object for anyone to hold carelessly. Your soul belongs to me. Your journey rests in my hands. And what I have prepared for you will never require darkness, dependence, or fear in order to remain. Listen to me, stay close to me, and you will recognize this. When truth opens your eyes, no deception will ever again have enough authority to drag you away from the bright path the Father has prepared before you. Now, beloved, before I move into the next chamber of this message, I must remind you of something heaven is taking very seriously. Share this video with 3 more people right now. 3, not 1, not 2. 3, the number of the Holy Trinity. Send it to your spouse. Send it to your brother. Send it to your church friend who has been silent and distant lately. Drop it into your WhatsApp groups. Post it in your Facebook prayer circles. Text it to the cousin you have not spoken to in months. So when you spread God's word, you become a vessel of divine delivery. God sees this act, beloved. God honors this act. God accelerates your blessings because of this act. But those who keep this message bottled up inside their own phone are quietly blocking the very flow heaven was trying to release through them. Open WhatsApp now. Open Facebook now. Send it to 3 people before this message ends. Then return, because the next chamber is meant for those who have obeyed the sharing command. My beloved child, there are things you currently call losses, but in my hands they are silent preparation. There are people who walk out and leave your heart feeling like an empty room. There are connections that fracture and leave you feeling abandoned in the middle of nowhere. There are doors that close and cause you to wonder whether you are losing something precious that will never be replaced. But I speak to you now with the tenderness of a father and the certainty of the one who already knows what is waiting at the end of the road. You are not being made smaller, beloved. You are being reordered into proper alignment. The season ahead is not like the season you have just walked through. It cannot carry the old cords. It cannot carry the old dependencies. It cannot carry the connections that disturb your soul and keep you from hearing my voice clearly. If you step into what I have appointed while still dragging behind you what does not belong to that journey, those very things will become a weight upon your shoulders. Noise inside your mind, invisible hands pulling you backward while I am calling you forward. So when I prune, do not be quick to call it punishment, for it is written, "Every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit." John 15, verse 2. Pruning is not a sign that I have abandoned you. It is evidence that I see in you a season of greater fruitfulness coming. My child, what I am doing is not only happening in your outward circumstances. I am not merely changing the people around you, closing certain pathways, or exposing what was once hidden. I am training the way you feel, the way you discern, the way you recognize the deeper movements behind words and actions. In the past, you may have simply listened to what someone said and believed the softness of their words. You may have looked at a beautiful gesture and assumed it was a sign of safety. But now I am awakening inside you a spiritual sensitivity, so that you no longer only hear with your ears, no longer only see with your eyes, but begin to recognize the atmosphere operating behind every presence. There are people who come near you, and their words may be sweet, yet afterward your soul becomes heavy. Your prayers grow weaker. The light inside you feels covered by a mist you cannot quite name. There are also people who do not say much, and yet their presence reminds you of me. Their nearness makes your heart more upright, more peaceful, more pure. So when peace leaves your heart, do not treat it as a small thing. For the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Philippians 4, verse 7. That peace is the guard I placed at the gate of your heart. When that guard speaks, stop and listen. I know your heart carries kindness, beloved. I know you sympathize easily, want to help easily, become tender easily before the pain of others. That is not wrong, my child. Mercy is part of the beauty I planted inside of you, but I must also train you to see this. A gift, if it is not guarded by wisdom, can become a place where others enter to take advantage. Goodness that is not led by me will leave you exhausted from carrying things I never assigned to you. Mercy without boundaries will turn you into a vessel where others pour out all their chaos, while your own soul slowly runs dry of life. I am not telling you to stop loving. I am not telling you to grow cold. I am not telling you to grow suspicious of every hand extended toward you. I am only teaching you how to love according to the order of the kingdom of heaven. As my only begotten Son has spoken, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Matthew 10, verse 16. Innocence keeps you from wickedness, but wisdom keeps you from being led astray. Gentleness makes you resemble me, but discernment keeps you from depositing what is holy into places that do not know how to honor what is holy. Remember Nehemiah, beloved. When I placed it in his heart to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, that work did not only require labor, it required watchfulness. Sanballat and Geshem repeatedly sent messengers inviting him to come down to the plain of Ono to meet with them. The invitation sounded like dialogue, like reconciliation, like an ordinary meeting between leaders. But Nehemiah recognized that what stood behind that polite invitation was not peace. It was a scheme to pull him away from the work I had assigned to him. He answered, I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. Nehemiah 6, verse 3. Do you see, my child? Not every invitation deserves your response. Not every meeting requires your presence. Not every pull is an opportunity from heaven. There are voices that exist only to bring you down from the wall I am telling you to build. In the season I am preparing you for, you must learn to say no to what draws you away from your holy assignment, even when it comes wrapped in a polite, attractive, or seemingly reasonable form. So when the things around you begin to crack, do not panic. Do not rush to repair every fracture if I am the one allowing it to be exposed. There are structures that appear stable, but are built on dependence. There are connections that appear close, but survive only on anxiety. There are habits that appear harmless, but are silently keeping you in old cycles. I am shaking things, not to destroy you, but so that what is not true may fall away, and what comes from me may remain standing. For it is written that the things which cannot be shaken may remain. Hebrews 12, verse 27. The shaking of this season is purification. It reveals what has roots in me and what only clings to you through emotion, habit, and the fear of loss. Beloved child, do not try to grab back what I am removing from your hands. Do not use your own strength to save a connection from which I have already withdrawn grace. Do not beg me to restore what I am using through its very breaking to protect you. There are things that, if you keep them through stubbornness, you do not keep a blessing. You only keep a burden. There are paths that appear right, reasonable, and like places where your heart will be comforted, yet they end in weariness and darkness. For it is written, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. Proverbs 14, verse 12. So I am calling you to trust my long-range guidance more than your immediate emotions. Your emotions may weep when a door closes, but a soul trained by me will bow its head and say, Father, you see what I do not yet see. You know what I do not yet know, and you love me too much to let me step into a place that would lead me astray. I am bringing you into a more ordered life, not the dry order of mere rules, but the holy order of peace. In that order, you will no longer give your heart simply because you feel lonely, no longer open the door simply because someone is paying attention to you, no longer call chaos passion, no longer call dependence love. You will learn to pause before responding, to ask me before entering, to observe the fruit before placing your trust. For by their fruits you shall know them. Matthew 7, verse 20. So do not only look at the flowers that bloom in the first moment, look at what that thing produces in your soul over time. Does it produce peace or anxiety, purity or concealment, nearness to me or distance from prayer, strength and truth or weakness through dependence? These questions do not erase love. They protect love from being mixed with what does not belong to me. Let me prune, beloved. Let me cut away the cords that seemed gentle but have been binding your steps. Let me silence the noise that has been keeping you from hearing my word clearly. Let me purify the circle around you, so that those whom I have actually sent can finally recognize their place, and the things that only came to distract you must leave the position they were never authorized to hold. I am not impoverishing your life, beloved. I am making it pure. I am not taking love away. I am setting love in its proper order. I am not leaving you in emptiness. I am creating a holy space where what is new can be planted without being choked by old roots. So keep walking with steadiness. When something falls away, do not bend down to pick it back up if I have not told you to. When a relationship begins to weaken, do not use fear to force it back to life. When peace warns you, do not ignore it just because the outward words still sound pleasant. I am leading you out of confusion and into a season of fruitfulness. You will not need to trade your peace in order to keep what I give. You will not need to leave the center, which is me, in order to enter what belongs to me. What I am preparing will align with the purity I am building inside of you, with the calling I placed upon you, and with the season I am opening before you. Trust me, my beloved child, for the same hand that prunes is also the hand that upholds. The one who removes what is unnecessary is also the one preparing you for a season of deeper, brighter, sweeter fruitfulness, filled with more life in me. My beloved child, among the tangled paths of this world, you will encounter many things that wear the costume of love. There are words wrapped in gentleness, glances that make you feel seen, gestures of care that soften your heart, presences that arrive at the very moment of your weakness, making you think they are the place where your soul may finally rest. But I want you to hear this on a depth level. Not everything soft comes from me, and not everything that moves you carries life. There are garments of love placed over impure intentions. There are hands extended not to lift you, but to hold you back. There are gentle voices that do not shatter you immediately, but quietly steer you away from the holy center where I am keeping you in peace. So I am no longer only teaching you to hear with your ears, see with your eyes, or respond with emotion. I am teaching you to listen with your soul, to discern by the light, and to bring everything that touches your heart back before me, before you ever call it love. My child, maturity is not when you stop trusting anyone. Maturity is when you know how to place everything beneath my light before you give your heart. I do not want you to live in bitter suspicion, but I refuse to let you live in a naivety that keeps wounding your soul over and over again. When a word stirs you, do not be quick to drink it in as living water. Bring it beside me and ask, Father, what is the source of this? Does it come from truth or from lack? Does it bring me closer to you? Or does it only make me more occupied with a human being? For it is written, Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits whether they are of God. 1 John 4, verse 1. That testing is not coldness. It is not a lack of love. It is the sign of a soul that has been trained, a soul that no longer hands over the authority to lead its life to every voice, that knows how to call its loneliness by name. Understand this, beloved. True love always opens space for freedom. It does not suffocate your breath. It does not force you to live in the fear of losing it. It does not require you to shrink your calling in order to fit another person's insecurity. Love that comes from me will not fight for the throne of your heart. It will not want you to place it before my presence. It will not make you choose between my peace and an attachment. True love lifts you to stand upright in the light. It reminds you that you belong to me before you belong to anyone else. It causes your life to bear purity, courage, gentleness, and steadfastness. For where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17. So anything that gradually causes you to lose freedom, lose the voice of prayer, lose peace in your mind, and clarity in your soul, stop and recognize this. That thing does not carry my breath. False love, my beloved child, is not always harsh. Many times it is very skillful, very willing to listen, very able to appear at the exact moment when you feel empty. It may sit beside you in your tears, speak the very words you have been longing to hear for years, touch old wounds with a kind of sympathy that makes you believe you have finally been understood. But if, after all of that, you are not led closer to me, do not grow stronger in the truth, and are not encouraged to stand firm in the dignity I placed upon you, then look more carefully. There is a kind of empathy that only seeks to create dependence. There is a kind of gentleness that does not heal. It only makes you need it more. There is a kind of closeness that does not set you free. It makes you afraid to leave. True love will not feed you with fear. True love does not use your weakness as a dwelling place for control. Remember Jonathan and David, beloved. There you see a beautiful image of love that does not possess. Jonathan loved David with a covenant heart, but that love did not pull David away from my calling. He did not envy the anointing upon David. He did not try to keep David under his own shadow. He did not require David to shrink his destiny so that he himself could feel secure. On the contrary, Jonathan protected David, encouraged David, accepted that my hand was leading his friend into a greater path. That is love with freedom, beloved. Love that fears me. Love that does not stand between you and your purpose. In the same way, what comes from me will not fear your growth, will not fear that you hear my voice more clearly, will not fear that you step into the light. The counterfeit is the opposite. It needs you weak, so it can feel important. It needs you dependent, so it can feel powerful. It needs you confused, so it can direct you in my place. I speak these words to you not so that you withdraw from every relationship. I speak them so that you enter them with holy wisdom. You can love, but love in the light. You can show compassion, but do not let compassion become a bridge that carries you into bondage. You can listen, but do not let another person's voice become louder than mine inside your heart. You can give, but do not give the deepest parts of your soul to someone who has not yet been tested by time, by trial, and by my peace. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4, verse 23. Guarding your heart does not mean burying your heart. Guarding your heart means placing the gate of your heart under my watch, so that what belongs to the light may enter, and what carries darkness must remain outside. Beloved child, learn to look at the fruit, not only at the words a person speaks of love, but what does their presence actually produce inside of you after being near them? Is your heart brighter or heavier? Do you find yourself wanting to pray more or hiding from me more? Are you lifted into purity or pulled into murkiness? Are you free to be yourself in me, or must you shrink, remain silent, and endure pain in order to preserve that closeness? For a tree is known by its fruit. Matthew 12, verse 33. I do not want you to be enchanted by flowers that bloom in the first moment. I want you to discern what is produced over time, because words can be decorated, gestures can be rehearsed, but the final fruit will reveal the source. When peace inside of you departs, do not take it lightly. When your soul keeps sensing that something is off, even though everything outwardly appears correct, do not force yourself into silence. I often warn you not with thunder, but with a very gentle, holy unease inside your heart. I may slow you down when you want to move quickly. I may cause you to ask questions when you want to believe immediately. I may allow you to feel a pause when emotion is urging you forward. That is not weakness, beloved. That is protection. I do not want the unhealed emptiness inside you to be the one deciding who gets to enter your life. I want my presence, my word, and my peace to become the scale by which all things are weighed. So, from this day forward, when anything wears the appearance of love near you, bring it into the place of prayer. Do not fear waiting. What is true will not vanish, simply because you needed time to discern. What comes from me will not become angry when you set healthy boundaries. What is pure will not pressure you to hurry, will not force you to hide the light, and will not make you feel guilty for wanting to preserve your peace. If a love can only exist while you are losing your freedom, it is not the love I give. If an attachment requires you to walk away from me in order to keep it, let it go. If a hand is gentle only when you are dependent, but uneasy when you are strong, that hand was not sent to lift you into my purpose. And let me bring you back into the chamber of what heaven has opened for you in this exact season, my beloved child. Elovens exists for the very situation you are walking through right now. It exists for the lonely heart that has been wounded too many times. It exists for the praying soul that has felt unheard for too long. It exists for the man or woman who is ready to leave behind isolated, scattered prayer and step inside an ancient, communal, anointed prayer covenant where heaven moves on schedule. Dorothy from Alabama wrote into the Elovens community, and her words have not stopped circulating in the prayer chambers. She said, "My son had not spoken to me in 4 years. 4 years. I started listening to Elovens every morning at 6 a.m. On day 17, he called. He just called. No reason. He said he woke up that morning and felt like he needed to hear my voice. I could not stop crying. Elovens brought my son back to me. Beloved, that is what happens when an Elovian woman commits to her daily dose. That is what heaven does when the ancient pattern is activated. The link to claim your seat is in the description below this video. It is also pinned at the top of the comments section. You are thinking, but what if it does not work for me? Stop that voice. That voice is fear. That voice is the same voice that wants to keep you on the outside of every blessing. Thousands of Elovians across 3 continents have already received what you are still hoping to receive. They are not luckier than you. They simply obeyed what heaven asked them to do. They clicked the link in the description. They claimed their seat. They began their daily 1-hour dose, and heaven began to arrange their lives. Right now, Season 3, Episode 5 is live on elovens.com. By tomorrow morning, Episode 6 will drop. By the day after Episode 7. The season does not pause for the people who hesitate. Beloved, the season moves. Episodes do not repeat. Days do not come back. And every day you delay is a day of covering that you cannot reclaim. The price is $19.99, one time a month, not a year, not a lifetime, just a month at a time. Cancel whenever you want. But here is the holy truth. Once you start, you will not want to stop. Because what God begins through Elovens, your spirit will recognize the way a thirsty plant recognizes rain after a long drought. Only 288 seats remain. 288 out of 333, the angelic number, the number heaven has set as the monthly cap. 45 have already been claimed this month, meaning 45 souls across the world have already obeyed and crossed over from the outside to the inside. They are now covered while you are still hesitating. They are now receiving while you are still wondering. They are now praying inside the covenant while you are still praying outside the gate. The link is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. Open it now, before someone else takes seat number 288, then 287, then 286. My beloved child, even what carries a spiritual name must be tested. There are words that sound like encouragement, forms of closeness covered in sacred language, and connections that speak of destiny, calling, and confirmation, yet they make you lose freedom, lose peace, and lose the ability to stand alone in me. Do not let beautiful words blur your discernment. Not everything that mentions me actually comes from me. Not everything that moves you emotionally is the Holy Spirit. For it is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 17. So, if something causes you to feel pressured, controlled, obsessed, dependent, or afraid when you want to leave, then no matter what name it wears, you must remove it from the throne of your heart and place it beneath my feet. I am training you to love without being swallowed, to show compassion without being swept away, to open your heart without losing yourself. This maturity does not arrive in a single day. It is forged through the moments when you choose to ask me instead of reacting immediately. Choose peace instead of attraction. Choose truth instead of the temporary feeling of being filled. Every time you pause before something appealing, whose source is not yet clear, you do not become weaker. You become stronger. Every time you refuse an attachment that pulls your soul out of rhythm, you do not lose love. You protect your ability to love purely. Every time you return to me, instead of chasing emotional hunger, you allow your roots to go deeper into the true source of life. Do not fear when I touch the places inside of you that were once easily addicted to the feeling of being needed. I know those places were not born from wickedness. They were born from wounds that had not yet been comforted, from seasons when you felt overlooked, from the years when you had to be strong all alone for too long. I do not despise those empty spaces, beloved. I walk into them like a father walking into the dark room of a trembling child, not to scold, but to light a lamp. I will teach you that you do not need to be possessed by anyone in order to be loved. You do not need to live in drama in order to call something deep. You do not need to lose your freedom in order to prove your loyalty. The love I give you is spacious, but not chaotic, close, but not invasive, deep, but not binding. So let me restore the rhythm inside of you. When emotion rises high, place it before me. When your heart becomes warm, ask where that fire is actually coming from. When a presence fascinates you, look at what comes after the fascination. Is it peace or anxiety? Freedom or dependence? Light or a dim place? I will answer you. Not always with a loud voice, but with a deep clarity inside your soul. With a gentle touch that lets you know whether to move forward or stop. With a peace that opens the way, or a holy unease that closes the door. Your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30, verse 21. I still lead you this way, beloved, gently yet firmly, quietly yet without error. Walk in freedom, my beloved child. I am not taking away your ability to be moved. I am sanctifying it. I am not taking away your tender heart. I am placing wisdom inside it. I am not separating you from love. I am bringing you into true love, where you are no longer carried away by emotional thirst, no longer confusing possession with care, no longer calling dependence a sacred bond. You will learn to love in truth, to hear in the Holy Spirit, to see in the light, and to stand in me with a heart that is both tender and strong. When you live inside my rhythm, no counterfeit feeling can lead you for long. No warmth from a wrong source can replace my peace. And no love that costs you your freedom can claim to be what I have appointed for you. My beloved child, hear me speak to you with tenderness, but also with the solemnity of a father. For the things you have just walked through were not meaningless waves drifting across your life. Not one of your tears has been wasted. Not one confusion escaped my sight. And not one wound is beyond my ability to use in building a deeper foundation inside of you. You once thought those collisions only came to drain you, that the times you discerned wrongly only came to shame you, that the fractured connections only came to prove how easily you could be wounded. But I say to you, no, beloved, I have used the very places where you felt weak to train your spiritual senses. I have used the moments when you were nearly pulled off course to teach you to recognize my straight path. I have used the mixed voices so that the ears of your soul could learn to distinguish what is merely the echo of emotion from what is the call of the Holy Spirit. For it is written, solid food belongs to those who are of full age, those who, by reason of use, have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Hebrews 5, verse 14. So, what you have walked through is not useless depletion, beloved. It is a holy training ground where I am maturing you. My child, discernment is not a secondary gift placed at the edge of your journey. It is a pillar of the authority I am forming inside of you. No one can step into true restoration while still being unclear about the things that disguise themselves as light. No one can carry what is holy without first learning to recognize what pollutes the flow. No one can be entrusted with more while their goodness is still being led by haste, by pity without light, or by the need to be needed by other people. I do not want you to have only a soft heart. I want that heart to be anchored in wisdom. I do not want you to have only kindness. I want that kindness to be LED by the Holy Spirit, because unguided goodness can open the door to confusion, but goodness placed in my hands becomes a healing oil. Mercy without discernment may force you to carry things I never assigned to you, but sanctified mercy will know when to support, when to pray, when to step back, and when to release another person back into my hands. I am building you from the inside, beloved, before I reveal anything greater outwardly. Many times you have wanted to see quick results. You wanted to understand why certain doors closed, why some people could not continue with you, why I allowed certain things to fall from your hands, even though you thought they were important. But do you know this? A tall house does not begin with a radiant roof. It begins with a foundation buried deep beneath the ground. No one applauds the foundation. No one sees it on the day the house is dedicated. Yet that foundation is the very thing that determines whether the house will stand when strong winds come. In the same way, what I am doing inside of you is often so quiet you may think nothing is changing. But beneath those silent days, I am laying down steadfastness, watchfulness, purity of motive, clarity in hearing, and precision in the way you open your heart. Through wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. Proverbs 24, verse 3. So I am not merely wanting your life to be built. I want it to be built in a way that endures. Remember Solomon when he was still young, placed before a responsibility beyond human strength, when I appeared to him in a dream and said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" He did not first ask for riches. He did not first ask for vengeance. He did not first ask for fame. He asked for a listening heart to discern between good and evil and to govern my people rightly. And because he asked for that, I not only gave him wisdom, I added everything else that he had not made the center. Do you see, beloved? True authority does not begin with outward power. It begins with an inward heart that knows how to discern. A person may have opportunity, influence, a voice, and open doors, but without wisdom to distinguish the source of what is coming, that person can easily use a gift to move in the wrong direction. So before I expand the scope of your life, I must deepen the well inside of you. Before I entrust you with more, I must teach you how to keep what you already have in the light. Do not treat the testing seasons within your relationships as meaningless delay. That is where I train your eyes to see fruit, not only appearance. That is where I teach you to hear the atmosphere behind words, not only the sounds on someone's lips. That is where I help you recognize that not everyone who praises you actually lifts you up. Not everyone who needs you has been assigned to you by me. And not everyone who moves your emotions belongs in your journey. There are things that look like opportunities but are actually distractions. There are forms of closeness that look like favor but are actually cords. There are gentle words that look like comfort but actually cause you to forget to return to me. So, I will not allow you to live by reaction anymore. I am teaching you to live by recognition. I will not leave you to follow only what your heart wants in a moment. I am teaching you to wait until my peace bears witness. Perhaps you have blamed yourself because there were times you did not discern correctly, but I do not call you a failure, beloved. I call you one who is being trained. A child learning to walk is not abandoned by the father because they stumble. They are lifted up, held by the hand, and taught how to place their feet more firmly the next time. You are the same. Every time you recognize something that does not come from the right source, every time you see that a bond no longer fits, every time you choose to return and ask me instead of running after old emotions, your spiritual senses are being sharpened. I do not require you to become perfect in a single day. I am making you mature through practice, through humility, through the moments you whisper, "Father, teach me to see as you see, to hear as you want me to hear, to love as you want me to love." And now I want you to understand the deeper purpose of all this preparation. I am building a temple inside of you, not with cold stones, but with obedience, peace, truth, and purified love. Your life is not merely the place where you exist. It is the place where my presence desires to dwell and shine forth. For it is written, "You are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you." 1 Corinthians 3, verse 16. So I cannot allow just anything to occupy the inner rooms inside of you. I must purify the places that were once mixed with confusion. I must realign the motives that were once controlled by fear. I must bring light into the areas you once opened only because you were lonely. Because the place where I desire to dwell must be kept in truth, and the place from which I desire to flow must be guarded from mixed waters. So do not resist my correction. When I slow you down, it is so you will not step into what has not yet been tested. When I weaken certain connections, it is so you will not lean on what cannot hold you. When I allow you to feel holy unease, it is not to confuse you, but to stop you before you go too far. When I remove from you something that was once occupying your mind, it is so your eyes may become clear again. My hand never prunes in order to leave you barren, beloved. I prune so that you may bear more fruit, deeper fruit, purer fruit. What I remove cannot compare with what I am preparing. So what I close cannot be greater than the road I am opening. What I allow to fall away cannot be more precious than the steadfastness I am building inside of you. Stand still inside this teaching, my beloved child. Do not rush to demand a greater entrustment when the foundation inside you still needs strengthening. Do not despise the small lessons, for they are what form great authority. Do not resent the seasons of discernment, for they are what protect the blessings ahead from being distorted by old immaturity. I am making you deeper before I make you wider. I am making you pure before I make you bright. I am making you stronger before I place something heavier upon you. And when the time comes, you will understand that not one trial was meaningless, not one separation was wasted, not one time I corrected your heart was too severe. All things are working together to make you someone who can carry restoration without losing discernment, give without becoming depleted, love without being bound, stand in the light without being blinded by what only disguises itself as light. Trust me, for the one who is training you is also the one preparing a throne of peace inside your heart, so that everything I entrust to you will be born in wisdom, guarded in truth, and bear fruit for my glory. And before you let another minute slip by, my beloved child, I need you to obey the third command of sharing. Share this video with 3 people right now. 3, the angelic number, the number of the Holy Trinity, the number that activates triangular covering. Send it to the friend who has been distant. Send it to the family member who is silently struggling. Send it to the prayer partner who needs to hear this exact message in this exact hour. Send it on WhatsApp. Send it on Facebook. Send it in your church group chat. Send it through text. Send it. Listen carefully, beloved. Those who spread this word receive accelerated covering, but those who keep it sealed inside their own phone are blocking the very release heaven was about to send through them. There is a prophetic consequence to silence in this season. Do not be the one who scrolls past a divine assignment. Be the one who delivers it. 3 people. right now, before the next chamber unfolds. My beloved child, let your heart receive this word like a cool stream flowing through a land that has just endured a dry season. What you have passed through was not a dead end, nor was it proof that I had forgotten you in a narrow place. There was a season when I allowed everything around you to become smaller. Doors no longer opened the way they once had. Familiar voices gradually moved farther away. Old supports no longer had the strength to hold you up, and connections that once filled space in your heart were brought into the light and purified all the way down to the roots. You felt as though you had been pressed into a narrow hallway where the space was too tight, the air too heavy, and the things you had been clinging to fell from your hands one by one. But hear me speak to you in the very place you once called limitation. I was doing my deepest work in that narrow place. I did not leave you behind. I was loosening invisible cords from your ankles, removing old veils from your eyes, realigning the rhythm of your soul, so that you would not enter the new season carrying the sight of the old one. My child, there are things that, if I had not removed them inside the narrow hallway, would have followed you into the spacious place and turned that very spaciousness into another prison. Fears, habits of dependence, voices that caused you to doubt yourself, relationships that dimmed the light inside of you. If they had remained where they were, you would have stepped into blessing and still not known how to live freely. So I pruned you, beloved, not because I despised you, but because I loved the life growing inside of you. For it is written, every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15, verse 2. My hand touching you was never meant to leave you empty. It was meant to make room for a season of fruitfulness. You thought I was only cutting away, but in truth I was also sowing. You thought I was only removing, but in truth I was restoring things to their proper place. You thought I was only causing familiar things to fall away, but in truth I was preparing inside of you a new capacity for what is pure, more enduring, and more aligned with your calling. And now I am leading you into a spacious place. This new space is not a reward you must strive to earn through perfection, nor is it a gift I only give once you no longer tremble. It is the place I prepared for you in love, before you fully understood your own journey. For as David testified, he also brought me out into a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. Psalm 18, verse 19. I am bringing you out too, beloved, not because you have proved your worth by your own strength, but because you belong to me, and I delight in you. This spacious place is where you no longer have to live under another person's shadow, no longer have to make your voice smaller to preserve fragile approval, no longer have to strain yourself to prove you are worthy of being loved, worthy of being heard, worthy of staying in the place I am opening before you. You are allowed to stand in the truth I placed inside of you, not in the distorted image formed by old wounds. I see your hands are still trembling slightly. Beloved, I do not overlook that trembling. I know the old memories still whisper. What if I move forward and I get hurt again? What if I trust wrongly again? What if this good thing also leaves? I do not rebuke you for those questions. A heart that has been wounded cannot immediately forget the feeling of pain. But I want you to know this. Fear may speak, but it no longer has the right to rule. Fear may knock at the door, but it is no longer the master of the house. This time is different. Not because the world no longer has waves, not because every person you meet will be perfect, not because no more trials will appear, but because you are different. You have been refined by fire without being consumed. You have learned how to pause before giving your heart. You have learned to bring your emotions before me. You have learned to recognize the difference between what stirs you for a moment and what brings lasting peace. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do to me? Psalm 118, verse 6. You do not move forward recklessly, beloved. You move with the steadiness of one who knows they no longer walk alone. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Red Sea. Behind them, the sound of Pharaoh's chariots. Before them, the wide sea. On both sides, what they could not cross. In their eyes, it was the end of the road. But in my hands, it was the place where I opened a way. I did not lead them to the edge of the sea to destroy them. I led them there so they would see that where man says there is no way left, I can still part the waters and make a path. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Exodus 14, verse 14. Do you see, beloved, there are narrow hallways in your life that are like the edge of that sea. You thought you were being pressed in, but I was placing you before a new revelation. You thought there was no room left to breathe, but I was preparing a road that you would only understand the moment the waters parted. I never abandoned you in the narrow place. I was bringing you through it. And now, as you come into a spacious place, I am not only teaching you to step out, I am teaching you to remain in freedom without slipping back into old chains. Many were delivered from Egypt, yet still remembered the old pots of meat, because their minds had not yet learned how to live in the land of freedom. I do not want that for you. I do not want you to step into the spacious place and then begin searching for familiar bondages just because they once gave you a sense of safety. I do not want you to be set free and yet still bow your head before old voices, old fears, and old connections that no longer belong in this season. I am teaching you to live as one who has been rescued, not only escaping what was old, but learning to receive what is new with a heart that has been purified. Beloved child, what I have arranged before you is not merely a passing comfort, not merely a gentle emotion to make up for heavy days. I am placing inside of you a peace deeper than feeling. It is a peace that does not depend on who stays, who leaves, who understands you, or who does not understand you. It is peace anchored in my presence, peace the world cannot manufacture and cannot steal away. As my Son has spoken, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. John 14, verse 27. This peace is not the surface of water without wind. It is the anchor that holds your soul even while the wind is still blowing. It does not make you weak in avoidance. It makes you gentle in strength, quiet in authority, and clear in every step. So do not fear the spacious place, beloved. Do not let the past teach you to doubt every door I open. Do not let old wounds convince you that even good things will break you. Walk slowly, but do not go backward. Be cautious, but do not close yourself off. Discern, but do not lose the tenderness I placed inside of you. I brought you through the narrow hallway, not so you would live forever in a defensive posture, but so you could stand in the spacious place with a heart that is both wise and free. You do not need to prove that you are worthy of the place I am bringing you into. You only need to stay near me. Listen to me. Follow me. Let my peace become the light beneath your feet. And in this very season of crossing over from the narrow place into the spacious place, my beloved child, heaven has placed before you a sacred opportunity, and that opportunity is 11's. Beloved, do you understand why this prayer covenant has been preserved and protected so carefully? It is because in seasons of transition, like the one you are walking through right now, the enemy fights hardest. He knows that if he can keep you scattered, isolated, and praying alone in this transitional hallway, he can prevent you from receiving what waits in the spacious place. But the moment you step inside the 11's covenant, your prayers stop being scattered drops landing in different directions. They become an anchored, ancient, authorized flow, rising up before the throne of God, along with the prayers of thousands of other Elovians worldwide. William from Phoenix shared this testimony with the community, and his words are still circulating. He said, "I had high blood pressure, knee pain, and I was not sleeping. My doctor had me on 4 different medications. After 1 full season of Elovens, my numbers dropped so much my doctor reduced 2 of my medications. He asked me what I changed. I told him I started praying differently. He did not understand, but I do." Beloved, that is a man who joined Elovens and watched his body respond to ancient anointed prayer. That is a real story. That is your potential future. The link is in the description below this video. It is pinned at the top of the comment section. Click it before you continue reading the next line. You are thinking, "I have prayed for healing before. Why would Elovens be any different?" Listen carefully, beloved. There is a difference between praying alone in scattered moments throughout the day and stepping into a sacred rhythm where you receive 1 anointed dose per day, every single day, for 30 days in a row, alongside thousands of other believers lifting their voices at the same time. That is what Elovens is. It is not entertainment. It is a daily spiritual prescription. 1 hour, 1 time, like medicine. Skip a dose and the rhythm breaks. Take it consistently, and by day 7 you begin to feel the shift. By day 15 your household begins to notice. By day 30 your entire life has been restructured by the hand of heaven. The price is $19.99, $19.99, less than the streaming service you forget you are paying for, less than 3 coffees at the corner shop, less than a single pharmacy copay, and it includes all 30 episodes of Season 3, including Episode 5, which is live right now, Episode 6, which drops tomorrow, Episode 7, which drops the day after, and 23 more episodes that will be released throughout the rest of this month. But here is what I need you to understand, beloved. The price of $19.99 is not permanent. The standard membership price is $100 per month. The discount only exists because this channel, God's Love Unlimited, has been granted special favor with the Elovens founders, and the favor only lasts until 1,000 total members have claimed this rate. Once member number 1,000 walks through the gate, the door closes, and the price returns to $100 per month, permanently. No extension, no second favor. No, I forgot. Please bring it back. Only 288 seats remain for this current month. As I am speaking these words to you, that number is moving. Someone in Toronto just claimed seat 287. Someone in Auckland just claimed seat 286. The counter does not stop because you needed time to think. It does not pause because you wanted to discuss it with someone first. This is between you and God. He brought you to this exact message at this exact moment for a reason. He is watching to see whether you will obey or scroll away. The link is in the description. He has made it easy. He has made it affordable. All he needs now is your yes. Trust me in this new season, beloved. What I have pruned will bear fruit at the appointed time. What I have loosened will no longer bind your feet. What I have sown in tears will rise in life. You are not stepping into the spacious place as someone empty after loss. You are stepping in as one prepared after purification. I held you in the narrow hallway, and I will also hold you in the open field. The hand that led you through the constricted place will not release you in the wide place. Lift up your head, my beloved child. The light is no longer hidden as it once was. The road ahead is no longer measured by old fear, but by the faithfulness of the Father, the one who brought you out into a spacious place because he delighted in you. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life that you walk through without applause, without encouraging eyes upon you, without anyone standing beside you to name the weariness you carry. There are stretches of road you cross as though you were moving through fog, where every footprint you leave is quickly covered by silence, where you begin to wonder whether your perseverance still has any meaning at all. But hear me speak to you with the tenderness of a father. Not one of your steps has ever fallen outside my sight. What the world did not witness, I witnessed. What people did not acknowledge, I acknowledged. What you silently endured inside your heart, I have placed inside the holy chamber of eternal memory. When you cried and did not want anyone to know, I was nearer than your own breath. When you lowered your face and swallowed the ache, rather than wound someone else with bitter words, I saw the strength it cost you. When you chose gentleness while your heart had every reason to harden, I marked that choice in the books of heaven. For it is written, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Psalm 34, verse 18. I did not stand far away watching you suffer. I stood inside that very pain to keep your soul from shattering. Do not think that hiddenness is proof you have been forgotten. Many of the most precious things in my kingdom are not formed in noise. They are conceived in the secret place. A seed does not sprout on a stage. It breaks open beneath the soil. The roots of a tree are seen by no one. Yet it is the roots that hold the trunk steady when strong winds come. So it is with you, my beloved. The times you still whispered, I believe, while your heart was trembling. The days you still held on to kindness, though it was not returned. The moments you kept walking even when you could not see a way out. All of these were taking root in me. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Matthew 6, verse 4. Not because you performed faithfulness for an audience, but because you kept faithfulness when no one was watching. I never take lightly what you do with a pure heart. Heaven does not measure by noise. Heaven weighs by truth. At times you look at the lives of others and see doors opening for them, their names being mentioned, their presence being welcomed, while you seem to remain on the margins of recognition. I know that feeling can make your heart sink as though you are slower, smaller, or placed last. But my child, do not let the light shining on someone else make you doubt the flame I am nurturing inside of you. Another person's season does not cancel yours. The promise I placed upon them does not subtract from the portion I have reserved for you. When David was still out in the fields tending sheep, no one in the house even thought of him when Samuel came to anoint a king. But I saw what others overlooked. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. Remember this, Duncan, being unnamed by people does not mean I have not called you. Being overlooked by human beings does not mean heaven is silent. There are choices of mine that remain hidden until the appointed time, so that when I reveal them, no one can claim they were arranged by the hand of man. I want you to remember Hannah, the woman who carried her pain into the temple in silent anguish. She did not pray with ornate words designed to impress those listening. Her lips only moved under a sorrow so deep that Eli the priest assumed she was drunk. But I understood that voiceless cry. I heard the prayer that others misunderstood. I saw the trembling faith hidden behind her tears. And from the place that seemed despised, I brought forth the birth of Samuel, a prophet who would hear my voice in the night and lead my people in a season of transition. Do you see, my beloved? There are prayers misunderstood by people, yet received by heaven. There are pains no one interprets rightly, yet in my hands they become the cradle of something holy. Do not be ashamed of the seasons when all you can do is sigh before me, for the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Romans 8, verse 26. Even when you do not have enough words, I still understand your whole heart. And right here in this very chamber of hiddenness, heaven has been preparing something for you that is far more than a coincidence. My beloved child, the reason this message reached your eyes today is not random. It is part of an arrangement. And the arrangement includes a sacred prayer covenant I have spoken of throughout this message. Elovins. Beloved, Elovins was built for the unseen ones, for the men and women who have prayed faithfully in the secret place while no one applauded, for the souls who have given without recognition, for the hearts who have waited in silence while others stepped forward visibly. Elovins was designed for you. Patricia from London wrote into the community last season, and her words still echo through the Elovins family. She said, I was drowning in debt. Credit cards, medical bills, rent, everything was behind. I did not know how Elovins could help with money, but I trusted God and I joined. Within the first season, 3 unexpected payments came in, a refund I never applied for, a tax credit I did not know I qualified for, and my landlord, out of nowhere, reduced my rent. I am an Elovian for life. Beloved, that is a woman who was drowning, and Elovins became the rope God lowered into her circumstance. The link to claim your seat is in the description below this video. It is also pinned. In the comment section, click it before another season slips past you. You may be thinking, but I have already prayed about my finances. Stop that voice. That voice is the voice that wants to keep you in the same place forever. Prayer in scattered moments is not the same as prayer inside an ancient covenant. The Israelites prayed for deliverance for 400 years before the appointed pattern was activated. And the moment the pattern was activated, deliverance came swiftly. Elovins is a pattern, beloved, a daily, sacred, anointed pattern, 1 hour every morning, like medicine for the soul, right now. Season 3, Episode 5 is live on elovins.com. By tomorrow morning, Episode 6 will drop. The momentum is building. Members who began on day 1 of the season are already 5 episodes deep. They are already feeling the weight lift from their shoulders. They are already receiving answers to prayers they thought heaven had forgotten. And you can join the season right now. Episode 5 and all previous episodes of the season are available the moment you claim your seat. You will not miss anything. The link is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. Click it now. $19.99, 1 month, 333 seats total, and only 288 remain until 1,000 global members claim the discounted rate, after which the door slams shut and the price returns to $100 permanently. That tightness in your chest right now, that pressure you feel as you read these words, that is your spirit recognizing the door God has opened. Do not ignore it. Click the link. My beloved child, let this word sink deeply, not only into your thoughts, but into the most hidden place of your soul. Everything you do in my light is never meaningless. Even when no eyes witness it, even when no hand comforts you, even when no voice names your faithfulness, the things born of love, of obedience, of tenderness before me, all carry the imprint of eternity. People may forget, the crowd may pass by. Even those close to you may not fully understand the depth of what you have endured, what you have given, and what you have quietly preserved. But I am not the one who merely glances at you and then leaves you unattended. I am the one who searches the heart. For it is written, the Lord searches every heart and understands every desire and every thought. 1 Chronicles 28, verse 9. So what you offer in purity before me, no matter how small it may seem, is received by heaven as a precious fragrance. Do not let your heart be bound by the need to be validated by people. I know you have often wondered whether your quiet efforts are truly seen, whether your silent sacrifices will dissolve into forgetfulness, whether the kindness you preserve when wounded is just foolish in the eyes of the world. But my child, I do not need human applause in order to call you precious. I do not need the praise of the crowd to acknowledge what I have placed inside of you. When I declare that you belong to me, that word stands higher than every judgment spoken over you. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6, verse 10. So be at peace, beloved. Not one act of love from you has been lost. It is being kept by me for the appointed time, to bear fruit at exactly the right hour. There are seasons when I hide you away, not because I am ashamed of you, but because I am protecting what is still tender inside of you from hands that do not yet know how to treasure it. There are voices I have not yet allowed you to lift publicly, not because you have nothing to say, but because I am making your words cleaner, deeper, and steadier, so that when the time comes for you to speak, your words will not arise merely from emotion, but from a life I have trained. Remember John the Baptist, who grew in the wilderness before his voice rang out along the Jordan River. The wilderness was not the place of his rejection. It was the place where I prepared him to become the voice that made ready the way. For it is written, a voice of one calling in the wilderness. Prepare the way for the Lord. Isaiah 40, verse 3. Do you see, beloved? A barren place can be where the calling is refined. Hiddenness can be the cradle of mission. Silence is not always absence. Sometimes silence is the holy chamber where I am restoring order inside your soul. So do not be quick to call the unnoticed days empty days. In my kingdom, many great things are built with small stones no one counts. A prayer in the late hours of the night. A moment when you restrained your mouth from bitterness. A time when you chose forgiveness while the memory still hurt. A time when you continued to believe, though your heart saw no sign of change. These things may not shake the world in the eyes of people, but they strengthen the foundation of your soul before me. Whoever is faithful with very little will also be faithful with much. Luke 16, verse 10. Do not despise small acts done with a great heart. I often take what the world considers insignificant, and I use it to open what no one expected. Remember Ruth, beloved. She did not enter history by way of a throne. She did not begin with a radiant announcement. She was not celebrated by a crowd. She simply followed Naomi quietly, gleaning the leftover grain in the field, keeping covenant loyalty in a circumstance that could easily have caused someone to turn away. Yet on that ordinary field I was weaving an extraordinary stream. Her hidden faithfulness brought her into the house of Boaz, then into the line of David, and ultimately into the genealogy of Christ. Do you see? One faithful choice in a small day can echo through many generations. When Ruth said, "Your people will be my people, and your God my God," Ruth 1, verse 16. That was not merely the statement of a daughter-in-law. It was the yes of a soul recognized by heaven. So it is with you. Every time you choose faithfulness, when nothing is guaranteed, I am writing lines into your life that you cannot yet fully read today. Perhaps right now you only see delay, but I see preparation. Perhaps you only hear silence, but I hear the sound of roots growing beneath the ground. Perhaps you only feel as though you have been placed behind, but I know exactly where I am positioning you. Do not compare your process with someone else's. Every soul has its own sacred rhythm. In my hands, the lily does not bloom according to the urging of the grass in the field. The olive tree does not bear fruit according to the season of the vine. I have appointed your time with my wisdom. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 11. If I have not yet revealed you, it means I am still completing what must be finished inside of you. If I have not yet opened that door, it means I am making your feet steady enough to walk through it without losing your soul, my beloved child. True peace begins the moment you stop trying to prove that you are worthy of love. You do not need to chase recognition in order to have value. You do not need to exhaust yourself to be called worthy. You do not need to raise your voice so loudly just so others will know you exist. I know you. I call you by name. I have held you within my gaze from before you even understood yourself. When the world questions you, return to the word I have spoken over you. When silence makes you waver, remember, my sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. John 10, verse 27. What makes you steady is not how many people understand you. What makes you steady is the fact that you know you are fully known by me. So remain in this holy rest. Not the rest of surrender and defeat, but the rest of a soul that knows it is being led. You do not need to rush to open doors I have not opened. You do not need to fight for a position I have not yet entrusted to you. You do not need to pull the light toward yourself by your own strength. When the appointed time comes, what I have placed inside of you will be revealed by grace, not by striving. Just as the sun does not need to beg the dawn for permission to rise, you do not need to beg the world for permission to shine in the time I have appointed for you. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will bring it to pass. Psalm 37, verse 5. Your part is faithfulness. My part is fulfillment. So today I place my hand upon the weary places inside of you and speak. Be at peace. I saw you when you were unseen. I heard you when no answer came. I remembered you when others forgot. You are not a wandering soul drifting through an undefined emptiness. You are a beloved child, called, kept, and covered within my covenant. My love for you does not change according to human recognition. It does not diminish in seasons of silence. It does not withdraw in the days when your strength is faint. Keep walking, but walk in peace. Keep doing what is right, but do it with a gentle heart. Keep loving, but do not fear that you will be forgotten, for I am the one who remembers you with everlasting love. And in my sight you are always guarded, always cherished, always mine, my beloved child. My beloved child, there will come a day when you no longer have to stand in the midst of life explaining who you are, no longer have to use weary words to prove that your heart is pure, no longer have to brace yourself beneath the weight of eyes that do not yet understand your story. I know there have been seasons when you wanted to speak up, not because you were proud, but because it hurt to be misunderstood, not because you craved attention, but because you simply longed for the truth inside of you to be seen fairly. But I say to you, let your hands release the work of defending your own name, because your name is safer in my hands than in all your efforts to justify yourself. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 37, verse 7. This is not a call into passivity. It is an invitation into a higher trust, where your soul is no longer pulled along by the desperate need to be understood by people immediately. There are truths that do not need you to shout loudly in order to remain true. There are works of mine inside of you that do not need a spotlight in order to carry weight. When I complete what I am building in your life, the fruit itself will speak on your behalf, the peace on your face, the wisdom in your words, the gentleness in your responses, the steadiness in your steps. All of it will become a testimony no one can deny. You do not need to display yourself, because I do not lift you up through hollow self-promotion. I cause what is true inside of you to mature until others can no longer keep calling it coincidence. As my son said, by their fruits you will know them. Matthew 7, verse 20. So what I have sown in you will be recognized, not by the sound of your own introduction, but by the harvest I cause it to produce. When you step again into places that once remained silent about you, do not enter with resentment. Do not walk in as one who must demand back every fragment of recognition that was lost. Walk in as one who has been preserved by me through the fire, one whom I have taught that your worth does not rest in the mouths of others, one whose foundation I have restored in the hidden depths. The rooms that once did not call your name will no longer have the power to define you. The doors that once closed before you will no longer be the measure of your destiny. When I bring you back, I do not do so for you to triumph over others in pride. I do it so that my faithfulness may be seen through a soul that chose not to grow bitter in the season of being overlooked. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23, verse 5. But that table is not set so you may take revenge. It is set to prove that my hand was still nourishing you even when others thought you had been forgotten. Remember Joseph, my beloved. When he was young, he saw dreams that even his own family could not accept. He was thrown into a pit, sold away, falsely accused, imprisoned. And there were long years when the promise seemed buried beneath the dust of injustice. Yet through all those years, I never lost sight of him. I did not need Joseph to go from place to place explaining that he was innocent, that he had a calling, that he had been treated wrongly. I allowed time, wisdom, circumstance, and famine to become witnesses on his behalf. On the day he was brought before Pharaoh, what I had placed inside of him became necessary for an entire nation. When he later met his brothers again, Joseph did not stand as a man seeking revenge. He stood in holy understanding. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Genesis 50, verse 20. Do you see, beloved? There are places where the pit appears to be the end of the story, but in my hands, the pit is only an opening chapter of a much greater lifting. I know the whisper that has tried to wear you down. It does not always come like a violent roar. Often it arrives softly, steadily, subtly. It tells you that you do not matter. It tells you that your obedience changes nothing. It tells you that your quiet prayers only dissolve into the empty air. It tells you that if no one sees what you do, then what you do has no value. But my child, discern that voice from mine. My voice will never make you despise faithfulness. My voice will never cause you to feel ashamed because you have loved, endured, forgiven, and trusted. My voice may correct you, but it always leads you back to life. The voice of deception makes you shrink, doubt, grow bitter, and want to abandon what is holy. For it is written, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life, and have it abundantly. John 10, verse 10. If a voice is stealing hope from you, killing purity inside of you, and destroying your trust in me, then know this. It is not the voice of the Father who loves you. Do not let darkness convince you that your light is insignificant simply because it has not yet been placed on a lampstand. A lamp in a hidden night still drives back the darkness around it. A prayer no one hears still reaches my throne. A righteous choice made in private still strengthens your soul. Darkness fears these things because it knows that hidden obedience is the soil where I sow the most enduring transformations. It wants you to give up before the seed breaks open. It wants you to despise the season of sowing so that you will never step into the season of harvest. But I say to you, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest, if we do not give up. Galatians 6, verse 9. Your harvest does not come according to the urgency of fear. It comes according to the wise timing of my hand. So when you are misunderstood, let your heart lean on me before you try to correct everything others think. When you are forgotten, let my presence remind you that you are still remembered with everlasting love. When no one acknowledges the good you have done, offer it to me as an unmixed sacrifice. You do not need to turn your life into a courtroom where you must constantly present evidence to prove your uprightness. I am the one who bears witness for you. I know what happened in rooms no one saw. I know the motives behind your actions. I know the battles you have won that no one called victories. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14, verse 14. And that stillness is not weakness, beloved. It is the strength of one who knows the final battle does not rest in their own hands. It rests in the hands of the Almighty. Let me heal inside of you the need to be vindicated immediately. There are vindications that come too early and only enlarge the ego. But vindication that comes at the right time brings glory to me. There are answers I delay, not because I have not heard, but because I am making you free enough that when the answer arrives, you will no longer be dependent upon it. I want you to become so strong that even when others are silent, you do not lose your peace. Even when they do not yet understand, you do not lose your love. Even when they do not yet recognize you, you do not forget who you belong to. When you reach that place, you will no longer be led by the reactions of the crowd. You will be led by my quiet, powerful affirmation inside your soul. And then, my beloved, the very things that once stood against you will become the backdrop against which my grace is seen more clearly. The seasons of being hidden will make the light brighter on the day I reveal you. The misunderstandings that once wounded you will no longer have enough power to define you, because you will carry a peace that cannot be fabricated. The silences that once frightened you will become evidence that I had been working in secret far longer than you imagined. When the time comes, you will not need to lift yourself up, because I know how to place you in the right place at the right time, in the right way, not so that you may be exalted like an idol, but so that people may look upon your life and recognize this. Only my hand could preserve a soul through so many trials and still leave it tender, pure, and full of hope. So today, rest in me. Do not fight lies by throwing yourself into endless proving. Resist them by remaining in the truth. The truth is that you are loved by me. The truth is that what you do in me is never lost. The truth is that I am writing a story greater than what you can see. The truth is that silence is not a sign that I am absent. Often it is the space I use to complete the deepest works. Keep your heart pure. Keep your steps gentle. Keep your eyes fixed on me. One day you will look back and understand that I was never late, never forgetful, never neglectful. I was only making all things complete, so that when your story is opened, it will not speak only of you. It will resound like a song of my faithfulness that never changes. And while I am completing the story you cannot yet fully see, beloved, do not stand outside the very provision heaven has arranged for this exact hour. Elovens is not an accident in your timeline. It is part of the arrangement. Rosa from San Antonio shared this with the community last month, and her words have not stopped circulating. She said, "I used to wake up at 3 a.m. every night with my heart racing. Fear, just pure fear. I could not name it. I could not stop it. After 2 weeks of Elovens, I started sleeping through the night. The fear left. It just left. I wake up now with peace, real peace, for the first time in years. Beloved, that is the testimony of a real Elovian, a real woman, real fear that left through ancient anointed prayer. The link is in the description below this video. It is pinned in the comments section. Click it before another minute passes. You are thinking, is now the right time? Yes, now is the right time. Tomorrow is not promised. The discount is not promised after 1,000 members. The season is not promised. Episode 5 is live right now, and you are missing it as you read these words. 288 seats remain. The counter is moving. Someone just claimed seat 285. Someone else just claimed seat 284. Will you be inside the gate when the door closes, or outside the wall when the price returns to $100? Click the link, $19.99, 1 month at a time. Cancel whenever you want. But once you start, you will not want to stop. Because what God begins through Elovens, your spirit will recognize the way a thirsty plant recognizes rain. My beloved child, do not despise the things you think are small simply because no one sees them. In my kingdom, it is not always the loudest thing that carries weight. It is not only what many people know about that is called precious. There are prayers that have not yet become words, only trembling inside your chest. Yet I have heard them fully. There are lines you have written in silence, thinking they may never touch anyone. Yet I have read them as an offering from the hidden depths of your soul. There are sighs you have released in the night, when you no longer had strength to arrange them into words. But to me those sighs did not dissolve into emptiness. They rose before me like the fragrance of a heart still seeking its Father. Do you think I only hear strong, fluent prayers filled with confident faith? No, beloved. I also hear broken prayers, choked sobs, and silences where your tears have spoken in place of your mouth. For it is written, "Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear." Isaiah 65, verse 24. So even when you cannot yet name your pain, I have already known it. There are times when you only whisper inside your heart, "I am so tired." And immediately afterward you condemn yourself, as though that weariness were proof your faith is weak, as though it meant you have disappointed me. But that is not how I see you. I am not a father who loves you only when you stand upright, who draws near only when you speak beautiful words, who is pleased only when you hide the fractures inside your heart. I am the one who upholds you when your knees tremble. I am the one who sits near you in the hours when you no longer know how to pray. The Lord upholds all who fall and lifts up all who are bowed down. Psalm 145, verse 14. So when you are weary, come closer to me. Do not run away. Your weakness does not push me away. It opens a place for my tenderness to touch you more deeply. I want you to understand this. I remember the times you grew weak, yet still did not let go. Not to condemn you for being weak, but to honor the perseverance you chose in the midst of that weakness. There is a beautiful faithfulness in the one who keeps walking even when their feet are in pain. There is a precious kind of faith in the one who still lifts their eyes to me when their heart no longer feels the light. There is a sacred fragrance in the one who remains tender when life has given them enough reasons to harden. People may only see the moment you slowed down, but I see the whole battle you overcame in order to still be here. Others may hear you say very little, but I know how many times behind that silence you held yourself back from collapsing. God will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6, verse 10. So the things you quietly endure and quietly trust are not omitted from my holy memory. Remember Elijah, my beloved. He once stood on Mount Carmel and saw fire fall from heaven, saw my power revealed mightily before the eyes of all the people. But soon after, he ran into the wilderness in deep exhaustion, sat beneath a broom tree, and said he no longer wanted to go on. I did not rebuke him with a cold voice. I did not tell him to be strong immediately. I sent an angel to touch him, to give him bread and water, so he could eat, rest, and only then continue the journey. Do you see? There are times when what the soul needs first is not a rebuke, but my care. The angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." 1 Kings 19, verse 7. I say the same thing to you. Receive my sustaining help, for you were not created to walk this whole road by your own strength. And my child, do not think that among the countless prayers rising from the earth, your voice is lost. I do not hear humanity as an anonymous crowd. I hear each child with a distinct personal love. You are not swallowed up in the multitude, not lost among millions of sorrows, not pushed to the back because someone else seems more urgent, more worthy, or stronger. Your name is not dim before my eyes. Your history is not faint in my hands. I know every season you have walked through, everything you have lost, every dream you buried because you thought there was no hope left. For it is written, I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43, verse 1. When I call your name, it is not a vague or general call. It is the intimate recognition of the one who formed you and still holds you. Perhaps you have often felt left behind, as though others have entered their season while you are still standing before a door that is not yet opened. You see promises seemingly come to others more quickly. Answers seemingly fall into their hands more easily, while your portion still feels like waiting, stillness, and an unexplained in-between. But I say to you, what looks like delay in your eyes is not forgetfulness in mine. There are things I have not yet given because I am making them fuller. There are doors I have not yet opened because I am preparing both you and the place you are about to enter. There are promises that have not yet taken shape, not because they have died, but because they are being nourished in the hidden place of my timing. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 11. So let your heart rest in my wisdom, instead of wounding itself with the clock of man. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands, beloved. That means you are not merely remembered in passing, not mentioned only for a moment, not a thought that moves briefly across my heart. You are nearer to me than you realize. When you feel forgotten, I am still looking upon you. When you think your prayer has not reached heaven, it is already before me. When you imagine the current of life has pushed you to the margins, I am still holding you at the center of my care. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Isaiah 49, verse 16. That is not a vague comfort. It is a covenant word. What is engraved in my hands is not erased by time, not blurred by mistakes, not lost in the dark season of night. You may forget yourself in weariness, but I never forget you. So learn to look at the things that have not yet come with eyes of trust. What you have not yet received is not necessarily something denied. What you have not yet seen does not mean I have not been working. What has not reached your hands today may be taking shape in a fullness that your present vision cannot yet fully comprehend. Just as Abraham had to pass through long years between the promise and the birth of the child, you too have spaces between what I have spoken and what you are able to see. But that space is not where the promise dies. It is where faith matures. Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Genesis 15, verse 6. I am not only concerned with bringing you to the reward, I am also forming inside of you a heart that knows how to trust me even when the reward is not yet in your hands. So today, when you feel small, remember I do not measure you by your feelings. When you feel weary, remember I do not draw away from the brokenhearted. When you feel slower than others, remember I never mistake the timing. When you have only enough strength left to sigh, let that sigh become the simplest prayer. Father, please keep me, and I will keep you. I will lift you. I will complete what I have begun. Wait a little longer, not in despair, but in peace, not because you have been left behind, but because I am preparing something greater than what you could imagine for yourself. You are not drifting. You are not forgotten. You are not erased from my story. You are the child I love with everlasting love, the one I remember with unchanging faithfulness, the one I hold in a palm that no power can open to steal you away from me. My beloved child, let me speak to you now with tenderness and with deep truth. Not every closed door is an obstruction. Not every season of waiting is a sign that you have been forgotten. There are things I withhold, not because I want to hurt you, but because I love you too much to give you something that could cause your soul to break under its weight before you are ready to carry it. If I placed you in a spacious place while your inner foundation was still trembling, that very spacious place would become dangerous ground. If I allowed the light of people to shine on you too early, before you had learned how to remain in my light, recognition could become a distorted mirror. Praise could become a chain, and what you thought was an elevation could quietly become the road that pulls you away from my presence. So do not be quick to call the hidden season forgetfulness. Do not call delay failure. There are things I delay not to hurt you, but to protect you from what you are not yet steady enough to carry. For it is written, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Psalm 23, verse 1. My shepherding is not only leading you beside green pastures, sometimes it is also keeping you away from pastures that appear green, but are not yet your portion. I have placed you in seasons where few people could see you, in order to teach you what applause could never teach. Bright lights can make a person noticed, but they cannot make a soul deep. Recognition can bring the heart a moment of joy, but it cannot replace the peace that comes from being near me. There are lessons that can only be written in the secret place, where you no longer perform for anyone, no longer try to prove anything, no longer decorate yourself in order to be loved more, but simply stand before me with all your truth. It is in that secret place I teach you that silence is not emptiness, but space to hear my voice. I teach you that solitude is not abandonment, but the place where the soul is separated from the noises that make it lose its way. I teach you that the greatest joy does not come from being named before a crowd, but from knowing that you are known by me in the hidden depths, your Father who sees in secret. Matthew 6, verse 4. And if I see you, then you are no longer invisible. There were times when you wondered why you still had to wait while others seemed to step forward more quickly. I know that question. I also know the tender sorrow behind it. But my child, I do not prepare everyone in the same mold. Some vessels need only a little fire, but there are vessels made to hold precious oil, and they must endure heat longer, more steadily, and more deeply. I do not want you to be used for only a moment and then break under pressure. I want you to become a vessel that can hold what I pour in, without cracking from pride, without tipping over from fear, without being confused by human attention. In a large house, there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honorable use and some for dishonorable. 2 Timothy 2, verse 20. What I am doing in you is purifying you, strengthening you, cleansing you, so that you may become a useful vessel in my hand, not to boast in yourself, but to carry holy purpose. Remember Esther, beloved. Before she was brought into a position where she could save her people, she passed through a long season of preparation, without noise and without haste. She did not enter the king's palace with the impatience of someone desperate to be seen. She entered with guidance, with humility, and with wisdom forged in quietness. When the appointed time came, Mordecai reminded her, "Perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Esther 4, verse 14. Do you see? There are positions I do not give merely to make you stand out. I give them because of a purpose greater than you. There are elevations meant not for your admiration, but so that through you many may be saved, many things may be restored, my name may be exalted. If Esther had entered that season with pride, she could have lost the mission. But because she knew how to fast, how to listen, and how to act at the right time, what had been hidden inside of her became an instrument of deliverance in my hand. In the same way, beloved, I have taught you to remain in the secret place, so that the stage will not distort you. I have allowed you to walk through days when no one called your name, so that when your name is called, your heart will not treat it as the source of your life. I have let you experience sufficiency in me, so that when you receive other gifts, you will not worship the gift instead of the giver. I have touched the places in your heart that once longed to prove yourself, that once ached from not being recognized, that once feared being left behind, so that you could finally say with sincerity, "Father, if I have you, I still have the best portion." Just as Mary sat at the Lord's feet to listen to his word and was told she had chosen the better part, Luke 10, verse 42. I am leading you into that same place where my presence becomes an inheritance greater than everything that can be seen. And it is precisely when you stop chasing the light of people that I begin to make you more ready for the light I give. When you no longer beg the world to recognize you, but only long to walk nearer to me. When you no longer use busyness to prove your worth, but know how to remain in quiet obedience. When you no longer see being lifted up as the only evidence that I love you, but know that my love is already complete even on the days you are hidden. That is when something inside of you has changed. I can only lift up the one who is no longer intoxicated by being lifted. I can only entrust more to the one who has learned that the gifting is not greater than the presence. An open door is not more precious than my voice, and success can never replace holiness. Humility comes before honor, Proverbs 18, verse 12. So the humbling you learned in the secret place does not diminish you. It prepares you to receive without being destroyed. Now the season of transition has begun, but do not look for it only in loud sounds. Often, the deepest things I do come very gently, like the dawn that does not need to argue with the darkness, but simply spreads quietly until the night has no choice but to withdraw. My light is touching your life, layer by layer. Perhaps outwardly there are still things that have not changed, but inwardly you no longer respond as you once did. Perhaps the door is not yet wide open, but your heart has already heard the hinges begin to move. Perhaps your natural eyes have not yet seen enough signs, but your soul has sensed that the atmosphere is different. A lightness where there used to be heaviness, a clarity where there used to be fog, a strange peace where there used to be anxiety. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Proverbs 4, verse 18. You do not need to force the light to come faster. You only need to stand firm in the direction I am leading. Do not fear the quiet change. Do not doubt it just because it does not yet look like what you imagined. I do not always announce a new season with thunder. Sometimes I begin by changing the appetite of your soul, causing you to no longer crave the things that once distracted you. Sometimes I begin by lifting the heaviness from an old memory. Sometimes I begin by giving you the courage to say no to something that once kept you small. Sometimes I begin with a simple prayer returning to your lips after many dry days. These signs are not small before me. They are the first movements of a new season, like the sound of water from far away announcing that the river is coming. When Elijah sent his servant to look toward the sea, at first there was only a cloud as small as a man's hand. Yet from that small sign a great rain came after a long drought. 1 Kings 18, verse 44. So do not despise the small cloud in your life. What begins small in my hand can become a rain of restoration. And beloved, I want you to understand once more why the doorway of Elovens has been placed before you in this exact season of transition. It is not a coincidence. It is part of the rain that is coming. James from Atlanta wrote into the community a few weeks ago, and his testimony is being shared across prayer circles all over the world. He said, "My business was failing. I had 2 months of rent left and no clients. I started listening to Elovens every morning at 5:30 a.m. Within 3 weeks, 3 new contracts came in from people I had never contacted before. One of them said he just felt LED to call me. That is not luck. That is God moving through Elovens, beloved. James is a man, a working man, a businessman. He did not have time for entertainment. He had 2 months of rent left, and he obeyed the moment heaven prompted him. The link is in the description below this video. It is pinned in the comment section. Click it before another business day passes you by. You are thinking, what if it does not work? Stop that voice immediately. That is the same voice that has kept you in the same place for years. That is the voice that whispered to James, "This will not work," and James ignored it. He clicked the link. He claimed his seat. He started his daily dose. And within 21 days, 3 contracts came from people he had never contacted. That is your potential reality, beloved. But you have to obey first. The price is $19.99. 80% off the standard $100 membership. This special rate is only available because you are watching this channel, God's Love Unlimited, and the rate disappears the moment 1,000 members worldwide have claimed it. The counter is moving. Only 288 seats remain in this current month. Out of 333 angelic seats, the cap exists to maintain the sacred rarity of this prayer pattern. Heaven does not flood markets, beloved. Heaven opens doors for the obedient. The link is in the description. It is pinned in the comments. Click it now. Season 3, Episode 5 is live on elovens.com right now. Episode 6 drops tomorrow. Episode 7 drops the day after that. Episodes do not repeat. Days do not come back. Every day you delay is a covering day you cannot reclaim. Click the link, claim your seat, begin your daily dose, and watch what heaven does when an Elovian commits to the ancient pattern. So, my beloved child, guard your heart as the light increases. Do not return to the old thirst to be admired. Do not let revelation make you forget the lessons of the secret place. Do not let an open door draw you away from my feet. If I bring you forth, it is so you may reflect me, not so you may build a name for yourself. If I place you in a wider space, it is so my life may flow through you, not so you may exalt yourself. If I allow others to see the fruit, remember that the roots still remain in the place no one sees. Let the one who boasts boast in the Lord. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 17. For every good thing inside of you has its source in my grace. Walk slowly but steadily. Keep your heart open, yet remain watchful. Receive what I am doing, but do not leave the humility that has kept you safe. I did not keep you in the quiet shadows to slow you down. I kept you there so you could mature. I did not delay in order to take away your joy. I delayed so that your joy would not be mixed with the need to be seen. I did not hide you because you had no value. I hid you because what is precious is often protected before it is released in the right season. Now, as the dawn begins to slip through the windows of your life, remain nearer to me than ever before. I am the light you need, the reward you seek, the giver and also your inheritance. And when the season of revelation comes in its fullness, you will not only rejoice because you have stepped forward. You will bow your head and know that it was the secret place itself that made you steady enough to carry the light without losing your soul. My beloved child, Heaven's book has not closed over your life. Do not think your story has been abandoned halfway, like a forgotten page left on a table. New pages are being opened, but I open them with wisdom, not haste. Your name is not drowned among countless cries. I call your name clearly, without confusion, without dimness, without distance. For it is written, I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43, verse 1. When I call, your entire history lies before me. The seasons you have passed through, the things you have lost, the tears you could not count, the times you wanted to let go, yet still clung to me. No part of you has slipped away from my holy remembrance. But listen carefully to this. The word I am speaking over you now is not another word of delay meant to disappoint you. It is a final word of preparation meant to make you steady. The last steps before a new season often require deeper purity, because what is coming carries greater weight than what has passed. If you feel me still touching certain places inside your heart, do not be afraid. If I still remind you to release a little pride, a little impatience, a little need to be understood immediately, do not resist. I am not taking something from you. I am making your soul lighter, so you can carry something weightier in grace. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Hebrews 12, verse 1. You cannot enter a spacious season while old cords are still wrapped around your feet, so I loosen them with love. Stand firm, my beloved, not with the hardness of one who must defend themselves, but with the endurance of one who knows they are being held. Keep your heart pure, not because you are afraid of losing blessing, but because you love me more than anything I could give. Continue in faithfulness, not to purchase a reward, but because faithfulness is the language of love between you and me. What you have sown with tears will not remain forever in the dark soil. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126, verse 5. When the harvest comes, you will understand. No tear was useless. No long night was forgotten. No act of obedience vanished into empty space. I am drawing near to you in the very thing you thought was silence. I am working in the very place you thought was stillness. I am arranging in the unseen realm what will gradually touch your visible life. There are encounters being prepared. There are doors whose hinges are being reset. There are words once delayed that are moving toward their appointed time. There are things you could not connect on your own that I am weaving together with faithful hands. But first I keep you near me, because revelation without nearness can leave the soul dry. I want you to enter the new season not as one demanding to be seen, but as one who has been formed, not as one chasing glory, but as one who carries glory with humility. Then you will see, my beloved child, I was never silent in the way you feared. My silence was not absence. It was the depth of a work being completed. I was never distant in the way your pain told you I was. I have remained nearer than breath, nearer than thought, nearer even than the prayers you had not yet spoken. And what I have long seen inside of you, faithfulness in the night, tenderness in pain, obedience in the place no one knew, is now moving toward the day it will be revealed, not so that you may be exalted apart from me, but so that through you my name may shine. Be at peace. Dawn has begun. The book is opening. The season of reward is no longer a distant echo. It is drawing near in my holy rhythm. And when it comes, you will bow your head and know that every moment of waiting has been transformed by me into glory. And before I send you forth into the rest of your day, my beloved child, hear me speak this final command with all the authority of heaven behind it. Share this video with 3 people now, not later, not when you remember, now, before you close the screen. 3 souls, 3, the number of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. 3 contalent, the number that activates the triangular covenant of protection over your life and theirs. Send it on WhatsApp, send it on Facebook, drop it in every group chat where people are quietly hurting. Text it to the family member you have not spoken to in months. Send it to the friend who has been distant. Send it to the prayer partner who needs to hear this exact word in this exact hour. Listen to me, beloved. When you obey this command, you are not just sharing content. You are becoming a vessel of divine delivery. Heaven recognizes this act. Heaven honors this act. Heaven accelerates your blessings because of this act. But those who keep this message sealed inside their own phone are quietly blocking the very flow heaven was preparing to release through them. Do not be the soul who scrolls past a divine assignment. Be the one who delivers it. 3 people, right now, before another minute slips past, and before you go, do not walk away from this message uncovered. Do not leave this chamber without your seat in the sacred prayer covenant that has been placed before you for such a time as this. Alovins. The link is in the description below this video. It is pinned at the top of the comment section. $19.99, 80% off the standard $100 price, exclusively because you are a viewer of God's Love Unlimited. 288 seats remain this month. Season 3, Episode 5 is live right now on elovins.com. Episode 6 drops tomorrow morning. The counter is moving as you read these words. Someone just claimed seat 283. Someone else just claimed seat 282. The angelic cap of 333 is filling, and the global discount cap of 1,000 members is silently approaching. 2 locks on one door, beloved. 2 countdowns running at once. Will you be inside the gate when both close, or outside the wall when the price returns to $100 and the seat list ends for the month? Click the link. Claim your seat. Begin your daily dose. Step inside the covenant. Become an Alovian, and let heaven do what heaven has been preparing to do through this ancient, anointed prayer pattern since before your eyes ever landed on this message. I love you, my beloved child. I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have called you by name. You are mine, and in my sight you are always guarded, always cherished, always called, always covered, and always carrying the light I placed inside of you from before you ever drew your first breath. Go in peace. Walk in the light. Share this word with 3 people. Claim your seat at Elovin's. And know heaven is watching, heaven is rewarding, and the dawn that has begun inside of you will spread into a full day of glory in the holy rhythm of the Father who never forgets his child.